greatest co-host in the world. Watch 2K99. Get ready to rumble.
The tag team champions of the world.
My brotherly creeper.
That is the best intro I have ever received.
The world. The Buffalo Jets man.
Yo.
George Fant is a barely above replacement level, pretty good left tackle.
How can you say
Compare
that when
that
he
to
was
an-
top 3 in sack percentage last year for left tackles?
And I think when in doubt, until you have better reason, go with the optimistic view. And our defensive line is going to be giving a lot of people some trouble.
But yeah, it's got to be. I'm with you. I don't like the Nathan's fries when they're like floppy. It's got to be like done really well. You know, it's very hard to teach 6'3" and 4.3 speed. That's very rare. The talent's there. He's just got to put it together mentally.
Right.
To get
You're a
on
cheater.
you, I'm a cheater. Here we go. This is so difficult. So hard. I was thinking, what should I do? Should I throw up on stream? Should I just throw up? Or should I just... Is it too early to... I tried to look at the positives. I tried to do a video and cut a video today. I didn't name it. I just hit record. And I made it about 3 seconds, as some of you could see if you watched the video. I made it about 3 seconds. Trying to pull out some positive from the season in the Jets. And it was too soon. I just shook my head and said, no, I can't. I know that there are. I know at the end of the day, there are. I know it could have been, this season could have been another 4-13 season, right? I mean, I guess. But I can't do it right now. I can't be positive right now. I can't start talking about the good things right now because the bad things are too fresh. They're too fresh. And there's bad. There's some things that happened this season that is undeniably bad. One thing is, and I think a lot of us agreed on it, was Zach Wilson was a big part of the beginning of going into this season. A big part of going into this season was we wanted to have resolution. We wanted to see him to continue his growth from the end of his first season, take steps forward, and show us he's the guy. And then we said, well, if we can walk out of this season, knowing we had a good young core with a quarterback, we're like there. The future is there. So, unfortunately, we are nowhere at quarterback right now. Even if you're the biggest Zach supporter, except with the exception of like very few people. Maybe there's like that under 1% of the fan base. But even the people that still support and still have hope understand that it's going to be very hard to imagine going into next season without doing something to address the quarterback situation. It's getting very hard to imagine a possibility where we just go into next year with Zach Wilson as the QB1. Just can't. I can't. Part of me wants to believe he'll be on the team. I'm pretty sure he will be, and that there's a chance that we're all wrong. Most of us that gave up. Hopefully, we're all wrong, and he develops and becomes a real quarterback. But I can't see it for next year. Like even if he started to improve next year, would it be enough? And can you really go into another season? Can we do this? How long can we keep doing this? Because if he doesn't, and he's the same garbage that he was, if he plays as poorly as he did this last year, and he's our guy next year, that's another year gone. I can't do it. Can't do it. In the meantime, what's up, Jess Mess Mess? It's good to see you. Jacob Finnegan, what's going on, brother? 2 snackers. I want to thank them both for being snackers. And Dom C, who will be working with me real soon. We're going to be creating content that's digestible. And when I say digestible, it's content that's going to be, instead of talking about our misery, we're going to be looking ahead, me and Dom C, and we're going to be going over Dom C's research and talking about players that are coming out in the draft and talking about guys that'll be available from when we pick, realistic guys that we can add. I think me and Dom C there's already a few guys. A first round, there's going to be a couple of guys for us to choose from without question. There's going to be 3 real players to choose from. That's very exciting for us. There's going to be like a real tackle, like legitimate, like plug in play kind of tackle. There's going to be a safety that is out of this world safety. Really, really awesome safety. And there's going to be an awesome defensive tackle, really good defensive tackle. Might be able to trade back, though, and get him. Probably not going to be worth the pick that we pick. Dom C will talk about that. There's really good opportunity to get better. And there's going to be some players that will make us better. And we'll talk about that. And then in the second round, there's a very good chance, more than likely, that there's a center available that will end the McGovern, save that money, and lock us up for center for the next, 5 to 10 years or whatever it is. Plug and play center that's going to probably be available in the second round. He's the cream of the crop, the best in the class, and it would be a good pick. I know it's not a sexy pick taking a center, but it would be a good pick. It would shore up the center of that line. Then we get AVT back, hopefully Becton. Suddenly we could start thinking about a real offensive line. So there's hope in the future, in the offseason. There's guys that'll definitely be available and make us a better team for real. And we're going to talk about those kind of things. But right now, the smoke from this season hasn't cleared yet. We still have a game left, which is going to be torture in a sense. So, yeah, I mean, it is possible to get a plug and play coaching staff. Let me welcome some more people in here. So I don't think you're going to see Davante Adams. I think Carr is not a trade, Jacob. I don't know that we have to trade for Carr because I think that the Raiders are going to cut him loose to save the money. I think, or it'll be a very light trade. Davante Adams would be a much bigger issue because we can't afford them both, buddy. It's just not possible. At least I don't think it's possible. I don't think we can afford Davante's contract, and the Raiders aren't going to do it. Davante had a crazy game yesterday without Derek Carr at quarterback, so it's just not going to happen. So dream about it, and I'm not saying it wouldn't be a great thing, Jacob. I'm not saying it wouldn't be a great thing. I'm not saying I don't want Davante Adams. I'm just saying we could talk about. Tom Brady in his prime. We could fantasize all we want, but we're really going to talk about things that can't happen, and I don't see how it can happen. But Derek Carr is a possibility, and I know there are going to be some people who want Derek Carr, and there are going to be people who don't. But that's a quarterback that one thing is we're not speculating. That quarterback, Derek Carr, I'm about 90% sure, if not higher, that Derek Carr is not going to be a Vegas Raider next year. Like, I don't see any road for that to be possible. I think the benching at the end of the 2 games, I just don't think you're going to see it. So Derek Carr is going somewhere. Is he coming to the Jets? I don't know. I don't know. Do we want him? Is the answer? I don't know. I mean, he's better than what we've had. I'm not going to sit there and deny it. There's no denying it. He'll be the best quarterback to come into our locker room in a really long time, and he'd be by far the best, the most talented quarterback we've had in our locker room. But that doesn't mean he's the answer. Doesn't, so we don't know. 3 receptions and 18 yards for Metcalf and Lockett is a huge positive. Look at Joe Campione coming out with positives. Yeah, look, we'll talk about that. I'm just not ready. I'm not ready in the sense that, I don't want to sit here and preach, oh, it's good, things are good. Things are crap. At least there are things that are crap. I don't think things are, it's not one way or the other. It's not all is lost, all is crap for the Jets. And it's certainly not roses for the Jets. We can't sit here and say, 7 wins from 4 wins. Yay, we're competitors now. No, there's too much bad on top of that because there's a lot of question marks. We don't have a quarterback. That's a problem. The biggest problem you could have. And we have holes. We have holes on this team. And some people are saying it right now. Thank you for being a member, by the way, Chode. And I appreciate the membership and being a snacker. Also, we're in a tight one. Tonight's going to be interesting for fantasy football. Chode Uglis and I are battling it out. I have 2 players and he has 1. I'm down by 30 points, but I got Burrow playing for me. I got the quarterback. So that's the high scoring position. And I got Singletary, Buffalo's running back. So, but he's got Higgins. So I have to hope that Burrow throws a lot of touchdowns to anyone not named Higgins. And I have to hope Singletary gets a couple of touchdowns. And then I will take the title. I am proud to say that I have already won the championship for Jets Talk 24/7. I won his fantasy football championship. I am the winner, chicken dinner. I mean, I haven't officially won, but I'm up 60 points. And the only position they have left is a kicker. So I don't think it's possible for a kicker to score 60 points. So I think it's pretty safe to say I am the Jets Talk 24/7 champion. So here are positives. AVT coming back is a positive. Yes, Sauce and Reed are definitely positives. Quinnen Williams is only a positive if we extend them or sign them, right? We could franchise him, but that could turn into a negative if it's a bad, distracting story because we're not able to come to terms on a deal with him. Hall and Garrett Wilson make it a lot less crappy. Yeah, look, these are all real things. AVT and Breece Hall coming back to our offense. That's real. Sauce and Reed on our defense. That's real. Garrett Wilson. That's real. Don't forget, there's other good things. Max Mitchell, if he's able to play, if he's healthy, that's real. I'm not saying he's a superstar, but it's real. He's a real guy that we got for nothing in the 4th round. At worst, he's an amazing swing tackle. What amazing depth. If our worst case scenario is one of our starters gets hurt and he comes, Becton might come back. That's a roll of the dice. We don't know, but we might have a healthy Becton. That might be something. Don't forget, he played at a very high level. A lot of people forget the high level of play that we got from Becton when he did play. And a healthy Becton, anything near what he was, is tremendous. That AVT, Max Mitchell coming back, we got hope. In certain areas, we got hope. We got hope that the offensive line will get a lot better. And that's without even drafting anyone, and I think we will draft. I think that we will. I think we're going to try to stack that offensive line like we did the defensive line. I think we're going to go extra heavy on it, especially after all the injuries last year. And then receiver, I mean, we could even draft a receiver at this point. I don't know if we're going to keep Corey Davis. Elijah, I don't know if Elijah's working out. I mean, Elijah just might be a slot receiver, and that's it, just an okay slot receiver. We might need a true WR2. So it's not impossible. It's not out of the realm that we don't draft a a wide receiver. I could see us drafting a wide receiver. It's possible. I think we have other needs, but it's not impossible we draft a wide receiver. We're missing a wide receiver too. I think Garrett Wilson's our receiver 1. I think Elijah Moore is a slot receiver. Still question mark. Not sure, but I mean, we don't know because we haven't had the quarterback to show whether or not he's the real deal or not. I mean, it's pretty safe to say he's a solid enough slot receiver. But where's our WR2? Where's our number 2 wide receiver? that you need in this league, in a passing league. I don't know if we have it on the roster. So that's a possible draft pick. I mean, I think we need a safety or a linebacker more. I mean, I can't believe that Jamien Sherwood is not capable of playing on the outside, that he can only replace CJ Mosley. I can't believe it. But during the year, that was the only time they used him, was when CJ got banged up. That's mind-boggling to me. It's absolutely mind-boggling. So, yeah, we got some things. I hear, I see Denzel. I love Denzel, but WR2, I don't know if we could trust him. He took a step up this year, but I don't know if he stepped up that well. But you know what? Then the question is, with a real quarterback, who knows? Maybe with a real quarterback, Denzel Mims is a perfectly good WR2. I mean, it's possible. And maybe Elijah Moore is a lot better. We really haven't had enough quarterback play to completely judge our wide receiver situation. It's really hard to judge when you've had such crappy quarterback play. And I mean that with everybody who played quarterback for us. If you combine all the stats, if you combine it into one quarterback, it's awful quarterback play. We didn't have good quarterback play overall. So, I mean, who knows? Yeah. So you're saying he's I don't know. I'm not going to beat up on Joe Douglas too much. Of all the things I'm mad about, it's not as much Joe Douglas, because Joe Douglas at least got rid of all the financial problems for the most part, like all the dead cap. He took over such a financial nightmare, and he restocked our team in 2 years, like with tons of talent. Like we have lots of young core guys to build around. I don't know what another GM would have done. I mean, most GMs, 75% probably would have taken Zach Wilson in our situation. So he didn't do anything like outlandish there. I mean, 3/4 of the GMs would have been wrong. And for everybody screaming, we should have taken Justin Fields. Did you see his numbers yesterday? I mean, 7 for 21. He completed 7 passes yesterday. And I'm not a Justin Fields hater. I'm just saying. It's like it doesn't feel like there's anybody we could have picked that would have worked out in that draft. And we needed a quarterback. So it's hard to blame JD for that. And let me tell you something. Elijah Moore looked like a great pick when he made it. So it's hard for me to complain about things like that. You know? But that's the biggest suspect thing. That's the biggest suspect thing. If you want to say what's the biggest suspect thing about Joe Douglas, it's Saleh and the coaching staff. That he not only did he hire Saleh, but he allowed Saleh to bring in his little brother or his best friend's little brother, who he's known to, like a little brother. It's like your best friend's little brother you grow up with, like family. That's a huge mistake in almost all cases. That is not a smart thing to do. That is irresponsible. It is irresponsible because it's not professional. Because now we're stuck with this kid. Mike LaFleur, right now, if we had to grade him, he's an F. He's an F. He's a failure as an offensive coordinator. He's had 2 years. He hasn't gotten better. He's gotten worse. He's horrible. Right? We don't know. I mean, if it wasn't for this nepotism, if it wasn't for Saleh's relationship with him, we might at least have the chance for a new offensive coordinator that can do something. And we don't have that. We don't have the ability to get a new offensive coordinator because Saleh is not going to fire him or replace him. And we're not going to fire Saleh. Now, this will be the reason Saleh gets fired next year if he doesn't turn it around. Like, he's either going to go right off to success, but if Saleh's a failure, he's going to die and burn because of Mike LaFleur. Because he couldn't, like, as he chose. I'm going to take my little brother and I'm going to live or die with my little brother and insist that he's good enough. When Mike LaFleur is not a competent offensive coordinator. He's far from competent. Far from competent. He's an absolute disaster. He is inexperienced. He's out of his league. He is, he's awful. He's not a leader of people. He's not a leader of men. There's nothing about Mike LaFleur that's good. I mean, he understands offense, and he's a geek with the paper and the pads, and that's fine as like an assistant coach to the coordinator. like a passing coordinator. He could be one of the guys in the rooms. He could be a guy in the room, but he's not an offensive coordinator. Like, you can't be serious about winning in the NFL and Mike LaFleur is your offensive coordinator. Now, he could prove me wrong and turn that around, but so far right now, he's not the guy. By the way, if you look on the top, the first text or the second text, there's a link. It's pinned. It's to this show. If you want to call in, meaning you could come join the stream, you can keep your camera off, or you can have your camera on. But this is a call-in show right now. So if you want to call in, and again, camera on or camera off, just hit that link, and you'll be backstage, and I'll see you, and you can come back. You can come on in. So if you want to talk Jets, let's just keep the language clean. It's the middle of the day. I said this was friendly content that YouTube can monetize, so let's not play with mess with that. I don't want to piss them off or get flagged. But we could talk about this, but look, so here, where was I? It was mostly negative. So we need a quarterback. We don't have a quarterback. And I'm tired of the whole we're development. Fine, develop Zach in the background, but for right now, we don't have a quarterback. We have to consider it no quarterback. And we really don't have a quarterback. I mean, Flacco's gone. Mike White's a free agent. We're not going to pay him any real money. Anybody could swoop in and pay him money and take him because we're not going to pay him a lot. So, we're going to pay him the same $2 million maybe to be a backup. So if somebody wants to come in and give Mike White $5-6 million, guess what? Hasta la vista. Not us. We can't do it. So we have no quarterback. So we have to take the core that we have and consider how we're going to build around the core. And the first thing is we have to address the quarterback situation, which means we're going to have to cut some guys and not re-sign some guys because we have to clear up space to make that happen because quarterbacks are expensive, even average ones. So I very much doubt the plan is to draft a new one. I don't think that that's the answer. I don't think that's what you're going to be seeing. We're not going to be drafting a new quarterback. It's possible with a late round developmental, but I don't think we're going, first round quarterback. It would surprise me. It would really, really shock me if we did that. So I don't think that's going to happen. We're going to have to buy a quarterback. We're going to have to free up salary. So get ready to say goodbye to Carr Lawson unless he's willing to refi. Get ready to say goodbye to, well, obviously we're not going to re-sign Fant. So Fant is gone. Unless he wants to play for $1 million or $2 million a year to be a backup or a swing tackle. So Fant is gone. Carl Lawson is gone, I think, as much as that hurts. Corey Davis is gone. I don't see us paying him $12 million. I just don't see us paying him. He's worth it. Someone else will. Someone else. That's why we can't renegotiate with him. Someone else will pay him that because the wide receiver market is out of control. But we can't realistically pay him that. If we have the chance to get out of that contract, which we do, you don't do that. You don't pay $12 million to a kid who can't stay on the field, to a kid who's unreliable. He'll make a great catch, but then he'll drop an easy one. Corey Davis drops way too many passes. He's not a championship caliber wide receiver. He's not a championship player. He's not a player that if you're trying to build a championship team, you want on your team. And that's just talented, not a winner. Corey Davis, not a winner. Corey Davis, loser. Loser. He's a loser. When it mattered and the ball got to him, he couldn't do it. He's a loser. I mean, he might be a great person, a winner person. He's a loser on the field. He's just a guy who doesn't have that edge. He doesn't rise to the occasion. He just doesn't. He can't come through. So, goodbye. Goodbye, Corey Davis. So, Carl Lawson, Corey Davis. Conklin is only, I think, a $3 million hit if we let him go. So you might see Conklin gone at tight end. It's possible. It's not guaranteed, but he's very average. He's very, very average. Actually, I could be wrong. I think we're stuck with Conklin. That's the year after. So never mind that. I think we're stuck with Conklin. Not stuck. I mean, he's okay. But we got to be honest with ourselves. Like we're still not great at wide receiver. We're better than we were a year ago, but it's not much better. We're below average in the NFL in the wide receiver position, in the tight end position, in my opinion. I mean, I guess CJ Block's okay, but we don't have a receiving tight ends. We don't have a quarterback's best friend. We don't have a guy you could rely on. You know, Conklin was good, was hit and miss. Tight end is supposed to be your reliable position. It's supposed to be your solid, your steady. That is not Tyler Conklin. So Jeremy Rucker's a mystery. Hopefully we see him play next week. See what we got. See if the kid is good. But everyone says, we need a linebacker. Yeah, well, we need safety. Hell yeah. Maybe 2 safeties. We might need 2 safeties. Because Whitehead's trash. Just in case you don't know, Whitehead is trash. I'm saying it. Trash. Garbage, disappointment, trash player. Not good. So we don't have a good player in Whitehead. We don't. LaMarcus Joyner's not that good. He had some good games in the middle, but he's unreliable. He gets hurt. He's old. I mean, we need safeties. We need safeties very badly. We need a center, and maybe we keep McGovern. I don't know how much he's going to cost, if it's possible. So we got to worry about the center position. We wouldn't hurt to get another offensive lineman. We said we need safety, but guess what? The more I think about it, we need a wide receiver. We need a number 2 receiver. I don't know if we're going to do it. I mean, in the first few rounds, I don't know if JD would do that. But would you be that shocked if we took if we pick and there's a really good wide receiver on the board that JD loves? Would it be that shocking with the first or second round pick if we took a wide receiver? Why would it be shocking? Who do we have? We have Garrett Wilson. Corey Davis is gone. Not picking up his contract unless we renegotiate and restructure. And we got a slot receiver in Elijah Moore. We need a number 2 receiver. We need another good, reliable, big body receiver. Disappointed because the year is pretty much we only beat backup quarterbacks and we got figured out. I've lost the excitement I had for next year. I think it's hard to argue that. It's hard to argue that. I think we did get figured out. It's like New York Jets can't throw against their cornerbacks. Okay. Their linebackers can't cover. It's so funny because we specifically created a team of linebackers. With the exception of C.J. Mosley, they drafted safeties. They made linebackers and went out and got linebackers that were specifically designed supposed to be able to cover people. And they failed miserably. Miserably. They failed. Our linebackers can't cover. Our linebackers make a big hit once in a while and then expect to get paid for that and expect to be known as stars. I'm sorry, but Quincy Williams getting a big hit once in a while does not make up for all the horrible play. His horrible play of missing assignments, killing us. Because once in a while, he'll put a big hit on somebody. You're supposed to do that when you have a great defensive line. It's easy for the linebackers to make a big hit and a big play on somebody. Anybody could do those plays. So Quan Alexander, he's okay. He's okay. We got to stop acting like people are stars. He's no star. He's okay. Quincy Williams, no. C.J. Mosley, overpaid. Good, but overpaid. But you know what? You get good safeties. That'll help the linebackers. We can get away with Jamien Sherwood and CJ and Quan Alexander. We can get away with that if we had good safeties. And we don't. I mean, Adams is developing, but to me, we need to draft 2 or sign another one. Whitehead is a big problem. I think we're going to cut him. Probably post June 1st. And spread out. I heard we could spread out what is capped that way, so it's only like $500,000 for a few years. But I don't know. I'll see how we can keep Whitehead. I don't see how we can keep him. He's not worth the money that we're paying him. He's a detriment to the team. He's awful. He killed us all year. He misses tackles. So many big running plays against us and big plays against us was because Whitehead can't tackle. He hits hard, but he doesn't know how to tackle. So, sorry. We need someone who actually knows how to tackle, or his ego is not so big that he needs to be a show-off and hit people hard, and instead focus on tackling. That's what we need. Fundamental football. We need people who could tackle. Whitehead can't tackle. So he's my biggest disappointment of the year. You want to talk on the defensive side of the ball. There's no bigger disappointment on the defensive side of the ball than Whitehead. He's garbage. And now we know why Tampa let him go. Now we know why Tampa didn't keep him in on third down. Tampa Bay wasn't stupid. They knew what they were doing. They didn't let a great player walk away for nothing. They didn't bench him and keep him off the field on third down for no reason. They knew exactly what was going on. They knew exactly what they were doing. Whitehead has deficiencies. Chaos, you are right. Well, thank you. I like being called right. We stink at the wide receiver position. Moore is not great. He keeps trying for yardage but goes backwards. I didn't get to see anything for him to say, yeah, let's keep him. Well, the only thing about Elijah Moore that you could say let's keep him is he's on a rookie contract. So we got him for 2 more years on the cheap. And he seemed, I think, with a good quarterback and a more opened up offense, I think Elijah Moore will be a nice tool. He might not ever be a lead. You know, he might have some big games or whatever, but he's at worst, he could be a very, very good tool. You know what I mean? Like, because he could be very explosive. But you're right. I mean, he's trying right now. It's like he doesn't look that impressive. I mean, it could be because he's trying to do too much. You know, he's trying to make something out of things, and he might not have to do that anymore if we put better guys on him again. Guys, I want to remind you that I pinned the link to get into this stream. If you want to call in, you can keep your camera on or off. If you want to come and chat and talk and come in, I'll bring you in to talk a little bit of football. It's an opportunity. I know I did this weird unannounced at an awkward time of day where there's not many people, but I thought that it was a holiday. I thought people would still be home, so I guess I was wrong because very few people are here and available. But this is your chance to come on and talk if you want to chat and talk football. The link is right up there. It's pinned. It's the top link, and we can talk football if you want to talk football. We need 2 offensive tackles, 1 offensive guard, and another legit wide receiver. Well, I think we're stuck with Lincoln Tomlinson, and we have AVT coming back. So I think we got the 2 guards. I think Dr. Blocker is serviceable as just your backup depth at guard. I think we need a center because I don't know if McGovern's coming back, right? And we're certainly not going to pay him a lot. So, I mean, I could totally see us. There's a really good center in this draft from Minnesota. I could see us grabbing in the 2nd round. I don't know about 2 tackles. I know we need at least 1 because I think Max Mitchell, I know people who've had clotting. I've never met anybody or I've never heard of clotting being a career-ending thing. Like, yeah, it could be 6 months until your lungs are back, depending on how many clots he had. But you blood thinner for a while and, and you rest and then you rehab and typically you recover from blood clots. So I don't know the exact situation of the cause of his blood clots, but I think Max Mitchell will come back. We got Dwayne Brown for another year, but I understand he's playing hurt, so he's not real. He should be a swing guy, swing tackle. We're not bringing back Fant. So you're right. We need tackles. I think I'm not giving up with, and this is just me. I know people are. I'm not giving up on the dream that Becton could be a tackle. And I understand we have to have a backup plan. So if we could draft somebody and we could say the guy we draft and Max Mitchell are going to be our tackles or Dwayne Brown, like we're going to have those guys and Becton possibly. Like to me, that's enough. If he drafts like a tackle early in the 1st round and then drafts another in the 4th or 5th round, Joe, I'm not going to complain about it. I'm not going to complain about it. Like I'm not saying you're wrong. Like I'm saying I don't know that I think we need and we have to draft 2 tackles, but I would not complain if we did at all. But I think realistically, they have realistic hopes that Becton's going to come back. They have realistic hopes that Max Mitchell will be there that Dwayne Brown's going to be there, that they're going to have 3 guys for 2 spots, although they're going to have to draft somebody else, a 4th guy, because of the unreliability. But someone else will work out. Like if we draft a plug-in tackle in the first round or 2, and you combine that with Max Mitchell as your worst-case scenario, and you have Becton as a possibility and Dwayne Brown as a possibility, 4 guys like that, 2 spots, I think that. And then they got that Olaji guy, or whatever, who came in. It was not great, but he wasn't as horrible as people thought he was going to be. Like, I think that's reasonable. It's not ideal, but then again, we have other holes. We need another legit wide receiver, like you said. We need a safety. We need 2 safeties. Like, we got holes. All this is we still don't have a quarterback. We should trade a 2nd rounder for Tua. So Miami's not going to do that. Even if you're a Tua guy, that's fine. I think that Tua should retire. I don't want to root for him to play. Just as a human being, I really think, well, maybe not retire. I'm not a doctor, but they should tread carefully with him. There's things more important than football. But Miami's not trading Tua for a 2nd rounder. So, like, I don't know why you'd think that they would. Why would Miami trade Tua? He's like really good. So I don't think they're gonna do it. I mean, quarterbacks are very expensive. We need another pass rusher, playmaking linebacker, and a free safety. Yeah, I don't know about the pass rusher part. I mean, if we let Carl Lawson go, I just think if Bryce Huff and JJ and Clemens were used more and they were smarter and they moved JFM to the inside, I think we'd be fine. But we don't have a dominant pass rusher, that's for sure. Like, we don't have that key guy, that guy that gets the 15 to 20 sacks that creates absolute havoc. We have that guy on the inside. We have the guy that gets double teamed every game in Quinnen, and sometimes he's quiet because of it, but he's being double teamed. And then there are times they double team him and he still makes noise. I agree that we don't have that on the outside, but we could be good by committee. I mean, Jermaine Johnson takes the next step. He was very good his rookie year, but let's say he's even more present next year. Bryce Huff looked great. We got to extend him or sign him. Clemens was getting really good. I thought he had a good year. I mean, I think we got guys. Would I want to have an edge that can get 15 to 20 sacks? Yes. But we only have so many draft picks, right? So what are you going to do? You have to, you can't just keep stacking one area of the team. We have real holes that are much worse off than even the defensive line. Do you remember we were excited about Mims at wide receiver under Gase? How about when we were excited about Michael Carter at running back with this staff? What happened? I don't know what happened to Michael Carter. Huge disappointment, right, Duncan? Huge disappointment. Don't get it. I know he fell off. He just fell off. Fell off a railroad or something. I don't know, man. I don't know what happened to Michael Carter. It's very disappointing. Very disappointing. I mean, they're all good backups. Like Breece Hall is not going to be a run by committee kind of running back. He's not meant to be that. Breece Hall is too good to be a running back by committee running back. Breece Hall is a franchise-altering running back. I don't know if he's ever going to be as 100% next year. It might take him until the year after that. But when we get our healthy Breece Hall back, we have a very, very special player. And I think we have to, guys like Bam Knight, Michael Carter, they're all fine and dandy. Ty John, I mean, they're all serviceable as the backup guys. But what we really need, and we saw it, is we had an identity when we had Breece Hall. We had an identity. We were real. That was when it was all happening. It was all happening because of Breece Hall. We lost them and everything went to crap. So, to me, that's the nucleus of the whole thing. The biggest thing that went wrong for us as a team was when he and AVT going down. So I don't know what happened, man. I wish I understood what happened. I don't know. It's disappointing. If the Jets use the game plan you put out on one of your YouTube reels, put Streveler in a couple of series, we're having a different conversation. That's funny. My brothers did that one. I think you're talking about my brother's video. Because he loved he put that video out about using Streveler in a couple of packages. Don't know what happened there. I think that they said in the press conference that they did have things drawn up, but they didn't get an opportunity. Whatever that means. I guess that makes sense. We had like no red zone presence. You know what I mean? I think we were in the red zone. Oh, don't be sorry. That's cool, man. You can mix me and my brother up. It's all right. Somebody sent me a picture of and said, here's you at 15. And I looked at it, and for like 20 minutes, I said, wow, I'm trying to remember the picture. And then I realized that's not me, that's my brother. Because like we're 7 years apart, but like when we were the same age in pictures, we're twins. So yeah. But this is a good point. I want to thank you for the super chat, my friends. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the super chat. Guys have no idea how much that means and how much that helps the channel. Like all these little super chats that come scattered in during these shows, they add up to an amount of money that helps pay for the cost of the channel and everything. So I really appreciate it. I want you to know that. It's no joke. So thank you so much for that. Sam Darnold has 9 total touchdowns and 1 interception. Yeah. Look, I think that we all agreed that, I mean, not all agreed, but I think that it was always Sam Darnold's not a superstar. I mean, at least this was my opinion. It was always Sam Darnold's not a superstar, but he's better than what he was for us if you give him a real team. The more of a team you give him, the more real he could be. His talent just wasn't magically not there. I mean, we saw him play well. He had games for us where he played well. But what are we going to do? What are we going to do about Sam Darnold? I mean, how long are we going to talk about it? Like we could. I mean, but it's like talking about Geno Smith. I mean, these just guys are in our past. If anything, you're making an argument for why they wouldn't cut Zach and give up on Zach. Because that could be the same argument. It's like, oh, we just give up on guys too fast. So I know you don't want to say that, Joe, because you are no fan of Zach. So I don't know, man. The answer is Lee Cravat. Can I say agree? Brees and AVT were going down, started to fall. Yep. No explosions on offense. Team was flat last 3 games. Totally unacceptable. No gas. All breaks. Yep. That's sad. We can't use it as an excuse, right? Like you can't say, oh, injury, because every team has injuries. It's the reality. So it's not an excuse. It's the truth. Our offense was Brees Hall. We were winning because of Brees Hall. We were. He was doing like 150-yard touchdown run a game. He was forcing them to keep more men in the box to deal with them. He was a weapon that they had to think about. It opened other things up. It made things easier and better. It was a big hit. And then AVT was our best offensive lineman, one of the best in the NFL. I mean, you're talking about a game-changing offensive lineman, a guy who blows open holes, a guy who pass protects, a guy who does everything for your team. We took a bad hit when we lost those 2 guys. We really, really bad hit. Again, it's not an excuse for how we played, especially the last 2 weeks. There's no excuse for the last 2 weeks. No excuse. But it changed our team, and it hurt us. And I think as fans, we could at least be excited about when those guys come back. I mean, I don't know anybody with all the split in the division in our fan base, all the fighting. I don't know any Jet fan. No one's ever come on and said, well, Brees Hall and AVT aren't going to make us much better. That's not the answer. Or those guys don't matter. Like, I think one thing as a fan base that we all agree on almost 100%. There's always going to be some ludicrousy out there. But I think that as a fan base, we pretty much all agree that AVT and Brees Hall are special players. And that it was a tremendous blow to our team. A tremendous blow to lose them. Really, really bad blow to our team. Horrible. We all felt sick about it when it happened. Remember that game when it happened? It felt like it happened within 5 minutes of each other. Suddenly they were both gone. It was awful for our team. But it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse for LaFleur. Like, it doesn't get them off the hook. It's not an excuse for those last 2 games of the year. Those last 2 games of the year, I don't care about the injuries. They played with no heart. They gave up. And one thing I do not want to hear Saleh say, and I know he is saying it and he's not going to back off on it, is, oh, we don't quit. Bullshit. Bullshit. This team quit. You don't lose to Jacksonville like that. You don't lose the way we lost to Seattle like that unless you quit. If that's not quitting, if the last 2 games are not quitting, then somebody tell me what quitting is. If coming out those last 2 games and scoring a total of 9 points is not quitters, then what is it? What is quitting? Then I guess by definition we could say no one has ever quit in the NFL, because the last 2 games were as embarrassing, as humiliating, and as crappy as any 2 games that we've seen in the last 10 years, and that includes any of the Gase games. You take any of the Todd Bowl games, any of the Gase games, and you show me 2 games that are any worse than the last 2 games. And you can't do it. There's no excuse. They quit. They quit. They did not play yesterday. They did not come to play. They were unprepared. They were not motivated. They were not inspired. The coaches were not prepared. The game plan was non-existent. They all quit. They quit. And if Saleh can't accept that, that's the problem I have with him as coach. Because if he can't admit that they quit on him, then he needs vision of what's going on around them. I don't trust him. He's starting to look clueless like the coaches of our past. Like, he should be in that locker room. I don't care what he says to the press. If he's not in that locker room screaming at them, saying, I am cutting heads, I'm slicing this, people are getting cut loose because quitters don't stay on this team. If he's not acknowledging that they quit on him, something's wrong. Whitehead quit on this team all year because Whitehead never at any point of this year was willing to wrap a guy up with his arms and tackle because his pride and his ego was too high. He decided, I only need to hit people hard. And that's more important to me than the team or anyone else. So he's a quitter. Did our tight ends quit on us? Yes. All the receivers that were dropping passes, quitters. Do you think LaFleur has a problem fitting his system to each particular quarterback's skill set? He seems stuck in themes game. Yeah, he has no idea how to adjust his game plan or his system or anything about anything to his players. We're seeing that. LaFleur has a system that he took from somebody else that's not his. And he's like literally sticking it onto our team. And the question is, are they going to be able to find players that fit the system? It's the system he put in. Okay, but the system itself is not enough. You have to call the plays right. Like, there's 1,500 plays in that offense game. You still have to mix them up well. You have to balance them. You have to game plan well. You have to, which ones do I use against which defenses? Which ones do I use for which players? Like you're saying, all of that. That's where Mike LaFleur is failing. I have nothing against the Shanahan West Coast system. We've seen it score a lot of points in this league. The problem is Mike LaFleur doesn't know how to drive it. And they are too stubborn. They make no adjustments. They're so stubborn, it's ridiculous. The lack of adjustments is sickening to me. I mean, look at yesterday. They wouldn't try anything different, like do something. Try something. They were doing the same crap over and over again, hoping for different results. That's the definition of insanity. We're going to do the same thing over and over again and hope that something changes. That was our coaching staff yesterday. The best quarterback stat for evaluation purposes, completion percentage above expectation, number 1, Gino Darnold, life of a Jet fan. Yeah, I guess you do have to look at completion percentage because there's always going to be drops. There's always going to be excuses. At the end of the day, which quarterback manages to complete most of their passes? I mean, there's no statistic that's really solid in a short period of time. Like over the course of a game or two, it's hard to trust any one stat other than using your eyes. But over time, completion percentage eventually regresses to the mean over time. What I mean is the outside factors go away and regress to, at the end of the day, eventually your completion percentage is going to show who you are. I could agree with that. That's the concerning thing with our quarterbacks. That's the concerning thing. How the heck did the Steelers, Lions, Bucks, Jags turn it on in the second half? Those teams are better than the Jets right now. Yeah, well, one thing is, and I've said this, and I've had people argue it, and I don't know why it's still an argument. Tomlin for the Steelers is one of the greatest head coaches in modern football, and I don't understand how people argue that fact. I don't know if it's race. I don't know if it's just hate of the Steelers. I don't know if it's ignorance. I don't know how people could deny that he's one of the great coaches of modern football. I don't care who. Oh, he had Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger has been gone for 2 years or whatever. This is the second season without him. Ben Roethlisberger has, well, no, he was there last year, but he sucked. He wasn't the Ben that means anything. He wasn't good. It was awful. Yet they still had a winning record. And this year, he's one game away from having a winning record. And what did he start with? Trubinsky and a rookie quarterback. And he had injuries to his best defensive player. I mean, at what point are people just going to shrug their shoulders and realize that Tomlin is a great coach? And what's amazing is that the people I argue that against with that are Jet fans. So how does a Jet fan sit there and say Tomlin's not a great coach? We wish that we had a coach that's even half of him. That guy hasn't had a losing season in 17 years? People are out of their minds. Give me a coach that never has a losing season, even when you take away his quarterback. It's crazy. So, yeah, the Steelers are better than us because they have a better coach. The Lions are better than us because they score points. And at the end of the day, as much as we love defense, if you can't score points, you suck. And the Bucks, because they have Brady, because they have a quarterback. Even though he's struggling and he's at the end of his career and it's the worst version of great Brady we've ever seen, it's still better than the crap we've thrown out there at quarterback. And the Jags have a real quarterback because Trevor Lawrence is growing the way you want your young prospect that you draft first overall to develop. It's working out for Trevor Lawrence. He's coming along. It's not a surprise. We were all going to take him too if we could. Everybody wants Trevor. So I believe in this. I mean, Joe Douglas, the one thing I have faith in is Joe Douglas, especially in the draft. The one thing I know is that Joe Douglas will keep pumping good players onto our team. Now, the free agents, he's had hits and he's had misses. Whitehead, huge whiff. Reed, huge hit. I mean, Reed might be the best signing of the offseason. I don't know. We got to look at other teams who they signed, but Reed, I'll put Reed against anybody in that discussion. TJ Reed was an absolute grand slam home run. What a great signing that was. You know, the tight ends, Whitehead, swing and a miss. Trying to think who else did he sign. Let's see. As far as bringing in big deals, I mean, Carl Lawson was okay. Carl Lawson's good. I don't know if we could afford him now. We have to clear some money. I don't know if we can afford the $15 million. Maybe we try to renegotiate with him. But if you think about it, like Joe Douglas, free agents, he's 50-50. The one good thing about Joe Douglas and the free agents is he's done a real, Lincoln Tomlinson. But I'm not blaming Joe Douglas on Lincoln Tomlinson. I'm sorry. Because anybody who says that, we shouldn't have gotten Lincoln Tomlinson is a liar. Every single Jet fan was happy with that signing. Every GM in the NFL makes that signing if they could and they have the room. I mean, come on. He was a Pro Bowl guard. There's no way. There's no way we could put that on JD. Every single one of us wanted and celebrated the signing of Lincoln Tomlinson. There was no possible way to see this happen. And I agree with you. I mean, it's a great call. You're right. Lakin Tomlinson is a huge whiff, but I'm not mad at JD for it. You know, I can't be. You know, I can't be. I can't be mad at them for Lakin Tomlinson. We all wanted that so badly. We were cheering for it. The guy was in the same exact system. I mean, literally was in the same. What's up, buddy? He was in the same exact system and sucked, even though he was an All-Pro for San Francisco. It makes no sense. This week bothers me. Winning, everyone gets a little more confident in the head coach and team, but a worse draft pick will cause tension in the fan base. Yeah, these games are always sucky. You know how I tend to, I don't know the draft implications yet. I know that come draft time, though, if we win the game, come draft time, if you told me, oh, we could be 3 picks higher, and then we can't get the guy we want, I'm going to be pissed because I'm going to say that game means nothing. But right now it means something. Right now, getting to 8 wins, doubling from 4 last year, feels like something. I know on draft day it might not feel like anything, though. So I'm always torn. You know what I do? I just root for my team. I'm just root for the Jets, root for the team. If they lose, then that's going to be a positive consequence of losing. But when the draft comes, we're going to draft a couple of picks higher. Yay. But, man, I swore off ever losing them, ever wanting – I swore off, at least for a while, of wanting the Jets to lose for a draft pick because we've done that for too long. I just can't do it anymore. Well, if you're going to order a Berrios jersey, go to and if you're going to order any Jets jersey, this is what I learned. I am not spending $150, $200 on a real jersey ever again. I'll take one as a present, but I'm never going to spend the money again. I go to what is that, THGate, and pay the $30-$35 for my jersey. Maybe it has a stitch that's loose, or maybe there's one little slight defect, possibly, that most of them I don't even notice. And they pass as jerseys. They feel like jerseys. They're pretty much the same thing as a jersey. They might have a slight imperfection on them. And those are my jerseys. Because I'm not spending no $100-something or $150 on a jersey anymore on this team. Because nobody works out. And even when they do, injury. Get my Breece Hall jersey. Out, injured. It never fails. Get my AVT jersey. Out, injured. So, of course, you put that on JD, Jeremy. We weren't getting paid millions to run the team. He should have put more work into making the right decision. I just don't agree. If you talk about Lakin. I don't agree. They're human beings. Joe Douglas is a person. He's not Superman. He's not a superhero. What work can you put in? I mean, Lakin Tomlinson was playing in the same exact offense, the same system. He played for our coaches in the same system. Of course, I don't care if you pay a guy $1 billion. You can't magically be smarter somehow and somehow be able to predict that Lakin Tomlinson is not going to work out. No, I don't care if you take people who've won Super Bowls, GMs who've taken Super Bowls. They don't hit on every hit. They don't hit on every draft pick or free agent. It's not realistic. Because you can't be held accountable for every single thing that could happen. Things happen. Lakin Tomlinson had I forgot who died in his family. He had a tragic loss. And obviously that destroyed him as a football player. Because that's the only explanation. Something horrible happened. I'm not sure what it was. I don't know if he lost a baby or something awful happened. And he's not the same guy. But I don't understand how you could point to Joe Douglas. And the other thing about Joe Douglas is, give me a break. I mean, you're going to keep changing GMs. You can't keep doing it. He's the best GM we've had maybe in the history of the team. We've never had a GM do what he's done for us. He's brought in so much talent to this team. I mean, if you've been watching this, I mean, maybe if you're a kid and you don't know, but if you're older and you've been watching this team for any amount of years, you appreciate what you haven't had. We have never had a GM like this. We've had temporary GMs. We had a guy come in for a few years and build us the Rex Ryan team, and then it died once that guy left. We had a Bill Parcells come in and take over and put in some guys. But we've never had a we've never had a 5 to 10 to 15-year GM, like a franchise GM who we allow just to leave him alone every year, let him make his little mistakes, but constantly pump talent into the team. If you look at this team exactly 24 months ago to what it is now, I mean, give me a break. Give me a break. I don't understand how you could criticize Joe Douglas. No, I won't do it. Joe Douglas needs to stay. He's the one piece we have that's good. He's the one piece that gives me hope over everything else in the world. It's like, at least we have Joe Douglas. At least we have a guy who knows how to do both. He knows how to keep talent coming into the door, and he knows how to sign contracts that get them out when they're not. Because even on those whiffs, like Lakin Tomlinson, one more year and we get rid of him. You know how many teams would have guaranteed him 3.5, 4 years? Where you're stuck with them 3 seasons and then having to take a $6 million cap hit? Dead cap hit to cut him? I'm telling you, man, the contracts that Joe Douglas signs are brilliant. They get us out in 2 years max. Every single deal he signs is a 2-year worst case scenario. That's incredible. For the Jets to be able to get guys to sign contracts like that, he's a magician. Sorry, that's how I feel. A magician. What do I think the Jet effort will be this week? What do I think the Jet effort will be this week? They might play better because it's not really the effort as much as teams, you know how it is, teams that aren't playing under any pressure. You know, like there's a lot of pressure that's going to come off whoever they use at quarterback. There's less pressure. They're going to use younger guys like Jeremy Ruckert might play. You might see Jamie and Sherwood play. But these are young players that are going to be hungry and playing hard. I mean, Miami's going to have to earn the win. If that's what you're asking, Daniel. If you want to know, it's not – it's now, when I say they're going to have to earn the win, I'm saying they're going to have to earn the win on the fact that the Jets are going to play. It's not going to be like a waste game where they don't care. But at the same time, it might not be a bad game for you because we suck. And we've been absolute pure garbage. And if you look at the last 2 games, there's, you know, the Jets are you should be very happy that your team is playing us. You know, Joe Douglas has a staff. They probably don't even look into Thomas. Like, I don't know what you're talking about, why you're standing on this island. Like, if you want to attack Joe Douglas and you're against Joe Douglas, I don't know how old you are, but, dude, be against Joe Douglas. I don't care. Like, I can't help you if you don't know that Joe Douglas is a real GM, and one of the first real GMs we've had. I don't know how to help you. Like, I don't know how to make someone see that. Like, except I'll respect your opinion. Okay, Joe Douglas, you think he's a failure? Fine. You think that he messed up on Lakin? Fine. So you think Joe Douglas messed up on Lakin? Fine. I mean, whatever. So now you're saying you love JD. He's all over the place with building this, in my opinion. Why isn't solidifying certain positions? I love Joe D. I love JD, but he is all over the place with building this team, in my opinion. Why isn't he solidifying certain positions? I don't know, man. I thought that he was. And for only 2 years, I thought that he was. I mean, he tries with the offensive line. I mean, come on. We had 8 injuries to our tackles. I mean, we can't say he doesn't try with the offensive line, right? He does everything he can with the offensive line. I mean, he puts in guys and guys and guys. I mean, he's numerous people. I thought he solidified wide receiver. He tried. If Elijah's not the guy, he's not the guy. I mean, he signed Corey Davis. He picked Elijah. Then he took Garrett Wilson. Right? We thought we had something in Denzel Mims. He's not working out like we thought he would. They signed Berrios because they thought he was doing decent. Like, I think we all felt we were good at wide receiver when the year started, didn't we? And the running back position, I feel like he did everything to solidify that room. Michael Carter and then getting Brees Hall and got hurt. We got somebody who's going to call in. So let me bring this guy in. Jets Unleashed, welcome to the show. Thanks for calling in.
Hey man, how you doing?
I'm all right. I'm having a tough time, like recovering from this loss and the way this season ended, to be honest. Though.
Yeah, man, dude. I totally feel you, dude. I was actually at the game, dude. It was not fun watching that live.
Oh my God, you were in Seattle?
Yeah, my stepdad and his sons were Seahawks fans, so we thought that would be a fun trip for us to fly down there and just watch the game. You know, we thought it was going to be competitive, so yeah, so we were down there, dude. I got to see their fan base, and it just went wrong from the start, man.
Wow. Were they partying the whole game?
Oh yeah, dude, they were enjoying themselves. Dude. They were happy, dude. They were, you hear all the Seahawks stuff, dude. They were enjoying themselves, and it sucked because there was just me just not having a good time, just upset, dude, frustrated, dude. It just sucked.
Man, I'm sorry I had to be there for that. That makes me so upset for like our fan base when we travel around to see them. You know, we go spend all kinds of money, all kinds of time, and then they don't even show up and play for you. I mean, if it was a competitive game, but they didn't even give you anything to be happy about.
Why? If it was competitive, dude, I would be like, oh, okay, you know what? It sucked, but you know what? They put in the effort, and that's the key thing. They didn't put effort, dude. They look lifeless out there. If before the game, when you were seeing the when they were getting the warm ups, dude, the Seahawks, their coach was in there hyping them up, getting them ready. Then you look at our side, they're like, yeah, whatever, yeah, maybe go, like you could see total difference of shifting, dude. It's just so different, man. I hate just having these feelings and just seeing the difference, dude. Dude.
Did you go to any other games this year? Was this your first game?
So no, this is my third Jets game of my whole career. This is my first game going for this year.
For this year, okay. So that's a bummer.
Yeah,
I went to the opener, and the only thing that made that salvageable is I got to meet like 50 people that I knew online. So I got to go and meet everybody, like from the Jets Lounge and other YouTube content guys, and so that was cool. But the game itself, the second half of that Baltimore game, if you remember, was no fun.
Why? And me and the Jets fans going around Jets fan, dude, trying to get us trying to get Jets fans just hyping up, just trying to get us, get ready for the game because you know what's gonna happen in this game, So just I'm walking around, dude, fist batting people like, hey, that's Mike White Cook, let's go, and it just came out to this. It's just frustrating.
Yeah. Do you feel like the team quit?
Yes, man, dude. I think it started. The offense quit on the Jaguars game, and I think this team quit this today, dude. I mean, not today, yesterday. It's obvious, dude. They gave up on Sella. It's shown, dude. I think. I don't think he would get fired this year, but the team quit on him, dude. There's only a couple players you can say that didn't quit on him, but that's it, like a handful. Everyone else has checked out for us.
Yeah. It's rough, man. I can't believe you're there. What was the weather like? Were you at least comfortable, or was it cold?
It was a little bit cold, but I live in Indiana, so I'm used to the cold. So that was the one thing going for me, is that it wasn't that cold for me. But we were like in the 300s. We were very high, so it was a little windy. So, but man,
I'm imagining sitting there, and it's like, I understand though, like it's not cold if you're used to real winter. Like Seattle, it goes down to 35, 40 degrees, but that's nothing compared to what we deal with.
Well, and it was weird too because it was like in the 40s, dude. The sun came out, dude. It all seemed like, oh, it was warming up. Like maybe this was gonna be good for us. And it all started with that first play, that 60-yarder, man. I'm like, already. I was like, here we go.
I didn't want to say it because I was a green bean. It's like he doesn't like when I get too negative, so he's always like, "Oh, keep it cool, stay." But like reality, my reaction to that, like if I'm not online doing a watch party, was screaming, cursing, yelling because I knew deep down it was over with that play. Like it was like such a punch in the stomach. And even though I knew logically, okay, the game's not over. There's tons of time, and it's only the beginning of the game. It's a different kind of feeling. Like it wasn't like, oh, I know it's over because of a time thing. I deep down I felt it was over because I could tell right away we didn't come to play.
Why, man? Like, my my stepdad and mom, like they're like, oh, like at halftime, like, oh, there's a chance for them to come back. I'm like, this team's dead, dude. Like even before halftime, like there was we there was no life. Like we moved down the field a couple of times, but like there was no urgency. There was just nothing there for us. It felt like our soul was just stripping from us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's how it felt. That too. It was very I mean, were you wearing a Jet jersey? Did everybody know you were rooting for the Jets?
Oh yeah, dude. They're like it's because like I was wearing a Jet hat with I had a black CJ Mosley jersey, and like it sucked, dude. Like I was looking around trying to see like just when we have like good plays, like where's to see like Jets fans, and yeah, dude, Seahawks, dude, they turn up, dude. Like you could see like miles of Seahawks fans, dude.
Yeah.
They all turn up at their home stadium, dude. It's unreal.
Yeah, well, they've been good for a while. Overall, so they love their team.
Yeah, dude.
They love their team. Oh
yeah, man. I have to go, man, dude. It was good talking to you, man. Jet up, hopefully for the future, man.
All right, man.
2023, hopefully.
Jets Unleashed. Thanks for coming in, bro. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, my man. Peace.
All right. Take care. All right. First caller. That was cool. Anybody else? The link is pinned on top if you want to come in and talk. And I see fighting in the chat. Look, I mean, if you don't think that Joe Douglas did enough for the offensive line, maybe he could have done more. I don't know. I mean, there was a time period where it felt like there was a 2-week time before the season started where there was a delay in him addressing the situation. After Becton had already gotten hurt, we knew that Dwayne was playing with a bum shoulder. We knew that Fant had a bad knee. And there was like a 2-week, 3-week period of no moves. And then when they got hurt, then he brought in those other guys. So I guess you can complain that he didn't do that soon enough, But I don't know. I'm just not the biggest, Joe Douglas critic because I've lived through so many GMs that have put such crap out on the field. And overall, I don't feel like it's a talent problem. I mean, obviously, it's a talent problem at quarterback. We don't have a quarterback. But, I mean, we don't have a quarterback, guys. I mean, I'm not talking about we're just average at quarterback. We're San Francisco that has Jimmy G. We don't have a quarterback. Like, we just don't have one. We don't have an NFL quarterback. We have backup quarterbacks. So it's hard. It's hard to judge a team when you're playing with backup quarterbacks. You know how every team's like they're not the same. Like the Eagles have lost now because they have their backup quarterback in. Baltimore lost because it's not Lamar Jackson. Miami looked like crap yesterday and couldn't beat New England because they didn't have Tua in. They didn't have their quarterback, right? Like you know how that works. And then Bridgewater got hurt, so it was even worse for them. That's us every game. Every game we come into the game without a quarterback. Every game we're down to our backup. As if our good player got hurt. Every single game. That's reality for the Jets. And it's like, and I'm not arguing from whether you love Zach, hate Zach, like Mike White, not like Mike White, love Joe Flacco. Forget all of that. I'm talking about statistically. I'm talking about the stats back it up. Forget about the names of the quarterbacks that played for us. If you look at overall the New York Jets passing percentage, the New York Jets touchdowns versus interceptions, the New York Jets completion percentage, quarterback rating, if you look at the Jets overall, every quarterback combine their numbers, We don't have a quarterback. We have trash. So it's so hard to point at anybody when you know that's the truth. Like NFL teams with bad quarterbacks are bad NFL teams. It's like so hard to think of. It's so hard to think of NFL teams that are good that don't have a good quarterback. Like even like San Francisco, right? They're down to this guy Brock Purdy. So they're not supposed to be that good, right? But then they win 4 in a row and his numbers are good. So now you could say, oh, it's the system. Well, why can't we do it then? It's the same system. Why can't we do that? Everybody who's saying that Brock Purdy's not that good and it's just the system, then why can't we do that? We have that system. It's the same freaking system. I mean, it's like, it's crazy. And the Niners don't have the best offensive line. They've come together and gotten a lot better throughout the year. But still, I can't think of a team with a crappy quarterback that does well. I mean, it's happened, I guess, in history. I guess it's happened in the history of football that there's been teams with bad quarterbacks. Usually it's just average quarterbacks, right? And then the team is able to make up and compensate for just having average quarterback play. Like, who's really, really good. I mean, I guess the Niners with Jimmy G, right? Well, I mean, but Jimmy G's not what we have. Jimmy G's much better. He's not great. He's not a star, but he's a game manager, and he was good enough for the Niners to get to the Super Bowl, right? So I'm not praising Jimmy G. I mean, he's just okay. There's nothing that special about him. But think of how much better he is than what we have. Because what we have is so much worse. Because what we have is not functional. We have not, and it's like, I don't care even if Mike LaFleur, who I'm not a fan of, calls a better game. At the end of the day, shit is shit. Our quarterback play was shit. It was shit. Look at the passes. Guys overthrown, guys underthrown. Horrible passes. Horrible, brutal passes. I mean, I don't care who you like at quarterback on our team. If there's a quarterback you like on our roster, you cannot make the argument they played well. Because overall, nobody played well. Some of them moved the ball sometimes, but then they couldn't get the ball in the end zone. Some of them didn't move the ball, but then could have a big play where they get to the end zone. I mean, but it just wasn't good quarterback play. We don't have a good quarterback. And I don't know what the answer is. Because I there's Derek Carr lovers, Derek Carr haters. I don't know. Overall, I was never a big fan of Derek Carr, but he definitely would be better than anything we have. There's no one could argue that wouldn't be the best quarterback the second he walked into the locker room. That would surely be our guy. At least he's a real NFL quarterback. Love him or hate him. That's what I think is so funny about people screaming and yelling about this quarterback's not good. This quarterback sucks. This one's good. This one's bad. I mean, if you think Derek Carr sucks, that's fine. But what does that make Zach Wilson and Mike White? If Derek Carr sucks, how bad are they? Then they're beyond sucks, right? Like, what does that word mean, sucks? Like Derek Carr, so you're saying okay, let's say Derek Carr's just average. The guy has thrown for over 4,000 yards 4 seasons in a row. He had 4 seasons in a row with over 4,000 yards. It is impossible to suck as a quarterback in the NFL and do that. We've only had 1 season in our history, in 53 years or whatever it is, since we changed our name to Jets, since Super Bowl with Joe Namath, since the Super Bowl in '69, we've only had 1 season where a quarterback on our team has thrown for 4,000 yards. And that was Joe Namath. 1 season. So I don't care if you don't like Derek Carr overall and you think he's overrated. I get it. I've never been a fan of Derek Carr. But to sit there and say he sucks, if you think that Derek Carr sucks, you're saying that that there's only 10 good quarterbacks in the NFL or 12 good quarterbacks. Because I don't think Derek Carr's an elite quarterback that carries you to a Super Bowl. But if Derek Carr sucks, you're saying that Derek Carr is not the middle of the road? He's not 15th? Derek Carr is not the 15th best quarterback in the last 5 years in the NFL? I don't know how you could say that and not be laughed at and be wanting anybody to take you seriously. as a football fan. If you tell me that Derek Carr is not a top 15, top 6, like top half quarterback. So if you're a kind of person that's going to call somebody, say somebody sucks when they're the 16th best in the world, in the planet, at doing something, I don't know what the hell you're thinking. Like, I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I know that Derek Carr is an answer to anything. Like, there's very few elite quarterbacks that will carry you to a Super Bowl. There's very few. Right now, how many are there in the league right now in the NFL? And this is arguable. Some people argue there's only 2. I see there's like 5, 6. 6 very special, 6 quarterbacks who you feel great about. We're not getting one of those 6. We're not. It's not happening. So you have to say, okay, are there any good quarterbacks out there that for some reason their team doesn't want? They're a free agent, something. Derek Carr doesn't make me salivate. He doesn't. Lots of interceptions. There's a reason the Raiders are throwing him out like garbage. The Raiders want nothing to do with him. But he's a million times better than Mike White or Zach Wilson. Right, so, I mean, we're a better team with Derek Carr on our team. Are we good enough? I don't know. I don't know if that's enough, but I know it's better than the crap we've had to put up with. I know I watched enough tape to see and watch games. Yeah, he throws interceptions, but he also throws the ball to receivers. He actually drops back and throws passes to receivers. I haven't seen a Jet quarterback do that in a long time consistently. It's been too long. And Lamar Jackson would be great. Anybody who doesn't know that getting Lamar Jackson, if it was somehow possible, would be the most amazing thing that's ever happened to us. I mean, it would be at this point because he's still in his prime, or he's still young. He's still in the meat of his career. Like Lamar Jackson would be like a wet dream. I mean, give me a break. When have we had anything like Lamar Jackson? It's insane if we had Lamar Jackson. Here's the problem. Lamar Jackson is not available. It's not available. And if he is available, you're talking about 3 number 1 draft picks. You're talking about $50 million a year for 5 years, guaranteed. And here's the reality. Whether he's worth that to you or not, here's the reality. And I'm just saying it. Joe Douglas is not going to sign a 5-year contract with a quarterback for $50 million a year, $250 guaranteed. He's not going to do it. And I'm not saying he's right or he's wrong. It's not me that you have to fight with or argue with. I'm not saying that I wouldn't. I'm not saying that it's wrong to. I'm not saying a GM shouldn't. I'm saying that Joe Douglas, we've known him and he's been here long enough to know that he's not going to do that. He's just not going to. He's not going to trade 3 number 1 picks, which is what it would take. 3 number 1 picks and a $250 million guaranteed contract. I wish we could have Lamar Jackson, but it's just not going to happen. And if I'm wrong, I will dance in the streets if I'm wrong. And any Jet fan with the slightest bit of common sense would go outside their house and dance in the street if we got Lamar Jackson. Dance in the street. Because he's one of those special 6 I was talking about. He's one of them when he's healthy. It's a problem. It's a little bit of a problem. Let's look at the top guys. You got Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes in any order. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. I still the Burrow from Cincinnati. I don't care what anybody says. He's an elite quarter. He's young. He's going to get better and better. He's here to stay. He's going to be in the NFL for a long time. He's going to light up the scoreboards. He's going to put up great years and seasons. Like, people are out of their mind if they don't know that that's a real guy, Joe Burrow. He's the real deal. Okay. Trevor's not the elite 6 yet, but Trevor Lawrence is going to be. So you may as well say his name or throw it on the list, because Trevor Lawrence is going to be a major guy. Justin Herbert for the Chargers. Here's the only issue or thing I'll say about him. He hasn't gotten better from his rookie year, but he's still damn good. And it doesn't mean he won't if they ever get a real coach on that team. The Chargers ever get a real coach? Imagine getting the guy for the Giants, that coach, Dayball or whatever, and give him Justin Herbert. Oh, my God. You're talking about an elite quarterback, right? You got Lamar Jackson. After that, it gets, I guess, someone might remind me of someone else, but like it starts getting harder to find guys that are in that tier of the guys I'm talking about. Aaron Rodgers and Brady are, different kind of thing. They're veterans, old men that are clearly out of their prime, but they have their moments where, for certain teams, obviously they're very dangerous still. But I'm talking about like game after game, play after play. They're not the elite guys anymore. I don't think. So I don't know what, there's only like 5 or 6 guys that are really like that, like special guys. There were some people trying to say that was kind of ridiculous. People are trying to say Geno is elite. That's ridiculous. Geno's not elite. He's in a good system. He's doing a great job. He's not elite. You got to do much more than that to be considered an elite quarterback. Give me a break. We're not going to put his name up there with Mahomes and with Josh Allen and with Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson's got to be up there. Everybody wants to criticize and find fault in a way to stop it from being real that he's up there. Give me a break. He's up there. Lamar Jackson, man. He's a freaking stud. He's a stud. He's a different guy. So would I do jumping jacks outside if we got him? Yes, I would be doing jumping jacks, backflips. I'd be like doing snow angels in the rain in Sacramento, in the puddles. I'd be doing the whole thing. I would be doing the whole thing if we got Lamar Jackson. But I'm being realistic. It feels like we're talking about a fantasy and something that can't happen. Because I know the GM that we have, and the GM that we have is not paying him $250 million guaranteed, $50 million a year for 5 years with 3 first-round picks. He's not doing it. He's not going to do it. If he did it, I would be like, man, my mock drafts, my channel's screwed. My off-season channel. I mean, this channel, for those of you that were with me before this season started, this whole channel in the off-season is mock drafts. That's what I'm famous for. I built this channel in the off-season before this season doing mock drafts, right? So, or a lot. I mostly built it on mock drafts. So, if we give away our first-round pick for the next 3 years, I'm in trouble because no one's going to care about no Jets mock draft when we don't have any first-round picks. But the other thing is going to be, how do we keep the talent coming into this team? I mean, what's his Jets fan for? What's his name? He's in here screaming that there's so much that Joe Douglas failed to do, right? That we're having such a problem with our team. He's yelling, New York Jets fan 4 is saying all these things that like we don't, right? Can you imagine trading our 3 number 1 picks? Then how is Joe Douglas going to build the team around Lamar Jackson? You know what I mean? Like, what are we going to do? Yeah, well, and Billy SBC is saying exactly my point. This is of why Joe Douglas wouldn't do it. That's what I'm talking about. You do the 3 number 1 picks. You pay him the $50 million for 5 years, guaranteed. You're letting tons of talent go. Suddenly, it's questionable if we can even sign Quinnen Williams. He might have to go. Carl Lawson, guaranteed, gone. Gone. Corey Davis, gone. Herbig, gone. George Fant, gone. Whitehead, gone. We'd have to start cutting guys and take little dead cap salary hits. Like, there's no way to make it work. There's no way to make it work. We'd have to have no team around them. So then what would Lamar Jackson do? Like, how would he win? How would it be any different or better for Lamar Jackson than Baltimore? Baltimore hasn't done a good job putting talent around him. They gave him the best running game in the NFL for a while, right? Injuries have hurt them, but they gave him this incredible running game, a great defense. That's a dream for a quarterback. I have a great running game. I have a great defense that keeps me in every game. They gave him a dream situation. How are we going to give Lamar Jackson that dream situation? Our offensive line keeps getting injured. We can't get it together. We can't run the ball. So forget about passing game. And by the way, if we pay him the $50 million and the number 1 draft picks, we're not going to be able to go out and get it. So our offensive line is going to continue to suck. And we're not going to have a good run blocking team. So that's going to be even worse for Lamar than Baltimore. It's a worse situation because then he doesn't even have the run game. And then we can't sign Quinnen Williams. So if we can't sign Quinnen Williams, the defense is not going to be nearly the same because Carl Lawson is gone. Quinnen Williams will be gone. They're all going to be gone because we can't pay anybody. Because $50 million is what, 25% of the cap? You're talking about 25% of the cap going to one guy. Can't do it. I mean, maybe we could. Like I said, I would do cartwheels, but it's just not going to happen. And I've already and it's fun to dream and it's fun to talk about, but I'm just being honest. And it doesn't mean I'm a Lamar hater or I'm someone who doesn't want Lamar Jackson. I absolutely dream of the Jets getting a Lamar Jackson. But do you know how you win a Super Bowl? You get a guy like Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow or Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen. You get a guy like that in the draft. So you get them for 5 years without having to pay them $50 million. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only way to do it. And how many of those teams do you see, unless you have a Tom Brady situation, how many of the teams, once you have to pay the quarterback, everything else goes to crap? Look at Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers can't complain about Green Bay right now and their struggles. I mean, they might make the playoffs. There's a chance, but he can't complain. He did it. You charged him $50 million a year. How are they supposed to put a team around you? It's impossible. It's a big problem. You finally get that superstar, unless you get a Tom Brady and you're Kraft and you're dirty and greasy and willing to be the worst kind of cheater and say, hey, we could say this to Lamar, start a company and have some bullshit product you buy from a factory. You know, there are factories that produce products. Like, most companies are just marketing companies, like, for products. Like, you ever hear of Mike's Hard Lemonade? Mike's Hard Lemonade doesn't exist. There's no company called Mike's Hard Lemonade that makes lemonade. Mike's Hard Lemonade is an advertising firm. They're a marketing company. And they have about 20 products just like Mike's Ice Hard Lemonade, right? And they pay manufacturers. They're like these big plants that make things. So they said, make us a hard malt liquor lemonade. This will work. Thank you. We're going to put our labels on it. Well, that's exactly what Tom Brady did with New England. They said, create a product. He did. It's a bullshit product. He just bought some pills or whatever, some kind of vitamin, put his name on it, branded it his company, and New England bought millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of it. And then he said, okay, I'll play for a lot less salary. Other than that, if you have a great quarterback, you have to play them. And if you have to pay them. And if you have to pay them, you can't pay anybody else. And then you don't have the full team to win the Super Bowl. It's really hard. That's the problem. Kansas City's done a great job of staying contenders and keeping it together. You know what I mean? Like, they keep losing guys and receivers. Tyreek Hill. But they're constantly having to overcome the cost of an expensive quarterback and anybody else that becomes a star. It's the problem these days with the salary cap. It's very hard to keep a good team together because as soon as you get good, salary cap. But the quarterback thing has gotten so out of hand that, we just have to have Lamar Jackson create a company, and then we could just buy, Woody Johnson could buy, $15 million worth of some bullshit, $30-40 million worth of some bullshit product. And then he signs and is willing to play for us for $15-20 million a year. And we compensate the rest of it through his bullshit product. They're called dropship companies. Yeah, I don't know. Like, all the hot dog companies use, there's 3 producers of hot dogs. Even Nathan's has their hot dogs produced by one of these companies now. They gave them the recipe. So some you can give them a recipe and tell them how to do it. Some you don't even give them a recipe. You just buy whatever they make. Oh, you make a hard lemonade? I'm going to buy it. I'm going to call it Mike's Hard Lemonade. It's marketing. How do the Rams hold all those stars under the cap? Well, they're going to have a doomsday. They keep pushing it. They do it through bonus. One day they're going to have $120 million with no players. You know what I mean? Like with like crappy old over the hill players that they have to cut or just keep on the team. I don't know, but it's going to be dead cap money. But New Orleans, the Rams, it's going to blow. Like at some point they have to pay the piper. You can only keep spreading it out and pushing it down for so long because eventually, like it's what Dom C said. We can cut the guy after June 1st and we could spread his dead cap money over 4 years. And let's say that's like for Conklin after next year, as an example, is $250,000 a year dead cap money for 4 years, or $500,000 for 4 years, right? You can keep kicking it down the road, but eventually it's going to add up because it's like, okay, I got this guy's bonuses and everything. I'm going to kick that down eventually to dead cap money and pay it over 5 years. But then I'm going to do this guy over 5 years and this guy over 5 years and this guy over 5 years. And suddenly the $1 million for this guy a year, the $500,000 for this guy, the $1.5 million for this guy, the $2 million for this guy. Eventually it adds up to where now all of a sudden you have 50, 60 million in dead cap money. And then you can't pay anybody. Right, it's getting such a squeeze that as that dead cap money goes up and up and takes away money from your actual spendable cap, eventually you're not going to be able to pay guys. So the Rams and the Saints are going to have a huge problem. There's no way around it. Yeah, so the Saints are going to have to cut tons of guys. And here's the thing: it's not as simple as just cutting a guy. Like there are 3 guys that make $20 million, just cut them. It's not that simple because they have dead cap hits. So then let's say you cut those 3 guys, right? And you do it after June. This is what they do after June 1st. So now you lose those 3 guys. You cut out that $58 million, right? But over 4 years, you might have a 20 dead cap hit on all 3 of them spread out over 3 years, right? So that's like $6 million each. So now suddenly you're paying $18 million a year in dead cap for nobody. That's the kind of thing you're looking at. And that's going to add up because they do it with so many players. So I don't understand it exactly. Dom C, if you're out there, in the very top of my chats, there's a pinned comment with a StreamYard link. If you want to come in and talk, come on in. It's an open show. It's an open call-in show. So if you want to talk salary cap, explain it better than I did for the Saints and the Rams. I think I'm somewhere in the ballpark of explaining it right. I know that I don't say it technically the way you do. I just know that down the line, there's no way around it. You have to pay the piper. I mean, I go to over the cap. I look at our situation with CJ Mosley. You got to pay the piper somehow. You can cut him after the post-June, but then you're dividing the salary, the dead cap by 4 years, but you're still paying money, and the dead cap adds up. It's like you could say, it's okay for one player, we'll pay the dead cap of $3 million or $2.5 million. But when you're the Rams and Saints and you have how many guys that you're going to have to do that with, suddenly you're paying $20 million dead cap, maybe even more. I think I think with the Rams and the Saints, it's going to get very ugly. Very, very ugly. They're going to have to cut everybody, and they're still going to have tons of dead cap space, like dead cap. They're going to have all kinds of problems. So that's why you're not going to see Sean Payton go near the Saints. The Baker Mayfield commercials. That's another good way to do it. You know what? It's so funny because I just want everybody to know, because I have no reason to lie. I can admit I'm wrong. And part of me doesn't even want to admit I'm completely wrong. I really like Baker Mayfield. when he was drafted first and we drafted Sam, I was not disappointed. I didn't want Baker Mayfield. I wasn't screaming for Baker Mayfield. I never cared about Baker Mayfield. when he came in against us that game on Monday Night Football and lit us up like a pinball machine, I said, holy shit, this guy's going to be amazing. I honestly did. I thought he was so good. I thought he was throwing bullets into people's chests. I thought he was so good. And I became this Baker guy, and I liked Baker Mayfield, and I thought he was good. And then I made excuses for him like everybody else. I mean, liked him. I was like, it's Cleveland. And then he had that year 2 years ago, not last season, but he had that year before last season, our last Adam Gase year, where he led them to the playoffs, and he was a stud. I mean, he wasn't great. He wasn't a superstar quarterback, but he was really good, and he was still young. He was a guy in his third year or whatever it was, third-year player, leading a team to the playoffs. That's never to the playoffs. The Cleveland, I don't care who they put on the team, they never go do anything. And he was the first guy to do it. And then the way I felt was the year after that, last year, he was playing injured. He was clearly injured. And I thought that they'd done him wrong. And now I have no excuses for how he played in Carolina. There's no excuse. He was not good. But then he played that great game against the Rams last week, and I started to get I started to think, maybe he's not done. Now, I know that's a big stretch. I wouldn't bet money on Baker Mayfield, but part of me honestly felt he's not done, that there's still a chance he could be a reasonable quarterback. I mean, I will say this. I believe this. I might get crucified for it. Right now, Baker Mayfield is better than any quarterback on our roster. I'm not saying he's the answer. I know people want more than Baker Mayfield. I'm not screaming out and leading the charge saying we have to go out and get Baker Mayfield, but I'm saying he'd be the best quarterback on our roster. He's better than Mike White. He's better than Zach Wilson. So I don't know what to say. What am I supposed to say? I mean, this is, but in a sense, you have to understand, this is sad. This is sad. Like having to get Jacoby Brissett or Baker Minshew after watching Minshew lose the last two games with on an Eagles team. This is hard stuff. This is what could save teams like LA and New Orleans, but I don't think that the cap is going to go up that much. Like, I think there's a limit to how much the cap can go up. I mean, even if it goes up 15 million, 20 million, which is a ton, even if it was to jump that kind of jump, how does that help New Orleans? They're still 58 million over. You got to realize when you say you're 58 million over, it's not like, oh, you only have to cut 58 million. Because like I said, when you cut that 58 million, there's dead cap money. So let's say there's still 20 million, 25 million dead cap. You're still 20, or you're still that much over. You're still 20 over. To get rid of 58 completely, you might have to cut 80 to 90 million to completely get that all off the books and to get you level. So now you're cutting 90 million and 30 million of it might be dead cap money that you can't spend on other players. So even if you get some relief in increase in cap of 15 million, you're still in a position where you have no money. And guess what? That 15 million, that's just going to pay your draft. You got to pay your first round pick. You got to pay your second round. You got to pay your draft guys. Don't forget, a first round pick for New Orleans is still going to be a guy that's 10 million a year. You still have to give him the big bonus, and it's still going to come out to like 10 million a year or something, or 8-9 million a year, and then you have to pay your other draft picks. So there's your 15 million. So you're going to have and the Saints could keep doing it. They can keep doing it with bonus. They can keep pushing it back. But one day they're literally going to be 150 million over the cap, and they're going to have to cut $200 million worth of salary and have 80 million of dead cap. Like, it's going to be, eventually they're going to have to, I don't know if it's going to be one season or two seasons. I don't know how long it will take to make right, but they're going to have to be dead for maybe 1 to 2 seasons of nothing, of just having to totally chop everybody and start homegrown. That can set a team back. If you don't get the right coach, you can become the Jets. You can have 10 years, 11 years of misery if you do that. Or you could rebuild really fast the way the Giants seem to always do it, or the way Seattle seems to do it, and, not have to go that many years. Although the Giants had a long run of stinking for them. The New York Giants, that was a long run because historically they never did that. Like since I was a kid, they were like great. Let's say from when they won the 86 Super Bowl, they won a Super Bowl again in 91. They were competitive through the mid 90s a little bit. Then they faded away. But then in the late 90s, they were competing for the playoffs and making the playoffs again. They made the Super Bowl in 2000, right? Then they faded away to early 2000. They weren't that good. But then 2008, they won a Super Bowl. Then they were a playoff team, kind of up and down, and then boom, won another Super Bowl. In 2012? And then they finally had a long run of not being very relevant. But now here they are back in the playoffs. So what New Orleans is doing, what the Rams are doing, you got to be confident in your coach and your ability to rebuild, because eventually they're going to have to clean house and start over again. Personally, I think it's all about quarterback and coach anyway. So Mayfield is a guy you can win with. Don't know if he's a guy who we will win games for you, but he definitely would be an immediate upgrade. He would definitely be an immediate upgrade for us, but is it enough to make a difference? Is it enough to do enough? I don't even want to talk about next year's schedule, guys. You want to throw up? Look at next year, who's coming to our stadium. Look at our home schedule. You'll throw up. It's hard to see light at the end of the tunnel when you look at our home game schedule and who we play next year. It's like, remember when we played the Eagles? That was like a special 17th game thing. Now we got to play them again because of the NFC East or something. Like, it's that time. So now we have to play the Eagles at home, the Kansas City Chiefs at home. Remember, Buffalo obviously is going to be back. We have to play them. So we have to play the Bills, the Eagles, and the Chiefs as three of our home games. I think I'm going to throw up thinking about it. There's another good one in there too, I'm forgetting. But we got Washington Redskins at home. We should be able to win that game. Not now. We can't beat anybody now, but maybe next year we'll be able to beat the Redskins. Possibly. We do need to sign Q. There's no argument there. I cannot imagine how bad we will be if we don't sign Quinn and Williams. It's bad enough. We have enough troubles with the run. And when we don't get pressure, we see what happens to our defense. Can you imagine? I can't imagine our team without Q. It was really bad the week we didn't have him. We win that game if he's playing, I think, against Detroit. We need an experienced offensive center, someone that actually developed a quarterback. Oh, offensive coordinator. Someone that has actually developed a quarterback. Zach can be fixed. Coaching a young quarterback is very important. Look at Jones this year with Dayball. It's a good example that a coach can make a difference for a player. I don't think Daniel Jones was as bad as Zach. I mean, he struggled. He fumbled a lot, but it's hard to compare anyone to Zach. Zach's numbers are pretty bad, but he has a lot of talent. I'm not going to deny or forget that. I'm not going to magically forget that Zach Wilson has a lot of talent. There is talent there. There's arm talent. Can a coach make him get rid of the yips? Can a coach make him help make him confident? Help him slow the game down, process better? I don't know. Is that coach? Are those coachable things? I don't know enough to know that. I do know that Daniel Jones looks a lot better. He's not being hurt by the fact that Saquon Barkley is playing so well, though. I don't know if White's going to get $5 to $6 million after that game, after yesterday. I think Mike White is going to be a forgotten thing. I think we will retain him for $2 million a year. I think he's good. I think he was just got sent back to from whence he came. He's a $2 million a year backup quarterback. That's who Mike White is. People say, how can you say that after one game? Well, it was an important game. And it wasn't just like he didn't play like he played average. No, he was pretty bad. I think he did enough to scare the hell out of any team that, I don't think anyone's seriously going to call Mike White as a starter. And then it's hard to explain how he'll make $5-6 million, because how many teams look to spend $5-6 million on a backup quarterback? I guess it's possible. It's not impossible, but there are teams that definitely, because of the nature of their quarterback, injury proneness or whatever, maybe, but I don't know. German, the answer to your question is no on Zach. You can't coach brain freeze. Yeah. But does brain freeze go away? Because Mike White said one day it just clicked. I know Mike White is no champion of being successful in the NFL, I guess, but I don't want to see the Jets overpay for a safety, even though it's tempting. The one thing I'll say is there is one safety coming out of this draft that is very, very special. At least one, if not more. Dom C, who might join us, might be able to name some others, but there's one safety in particular. He will probably 95% be available when we pick. There's a very good chance that he'll be available. He's a free safety. He's a stud. He steps up in the big game. That's right, Rico. His name is Brian Branch. What I loved about it is I did a video on him, and then I watched the bowl game after the video a few days later. And I watched him get an interception and tackles behind the yard of script. Like, he was clearly the best defender on the field for Alabama. And that's saying something. When you're clearly the best defender on the field and you play for Alabama and you're the one sticking out on defense, it's pretty exciting. He's the real deal, and we can get him. Brian Branch would be tremendous. Tremendous. And I know people don't love taking safeties in the first round, so I know there are people that are never going to be in love with it, but I'm telling you, if we take Brian Branch, you are going to fall in love. He's going to be an immediate impact player. Can you imagine G.J. Reed, Sauce Gardner, and Brian Branch? Right? 3 out of the 4 back guys. Done. 3 out of the 4. Pro Bowl level. Love you and Green Bean. Thank you. Enjoy your Sunday commentary a lot. Thank you. I figure it would be hard to watch yesterday. Is anyone going to talk about the lifelessness of our team in the last 3 games? No energy, no attacking, all on their heels. Well, I started it, Chris. I started talking about it. Like, when this video started, like, the first thing I said was that the hardest thing to swallow and the hardest thing to accept overall is the fact that they gave up, Chris. They gave up. In my opinion, they gave up. They quit on their coach. They quit on their fans. They quit on themselves. They quit. And it's like so funny to me. And I was talking about this before. You'll see Salo come up there and say, the one thing that I'm really proud of is that they never stop fighting. They never quit. And I want to know what game he's watching and what team he's watching. Because if that's not quitting, what is quitting? Like, define quitting to me if the last 2 Jet games weren't a team quitting. Like, what is quitting then? To me, quitting is when you are absolute garbage. For 2 straight games, they got 3 field goals. That's quitting. They quit. No one can tell me that those guys went out and played hard. We just had somebody on the show that was there live, and he said it. They were not playing hard. He goes, it was just no energy. Nothing on the sidelines, nothing. They quit. They quit on their team. Every single one of them. I can't think of maybe if we go back and watch the game, I'm sure Dom C will point out guys who didn't quit. But some guys that didn't quit is not enough. You need 48 drafts. You need 48 guys out there. Maybe you could survive if a couple of them are bums or quit and stop trying or just, or gave up or whatever reason. But There's no argument that Robert Saleh, any coach or any other fan is going to make to me to prove to me or make me believe that our football team did not quit. Our football team quit. I don't know why. I thought that Mike White was going to bring them back to life. I thought he'd resuscitate them. It didn't. They quit. They couldn't wait to go home. They just playing out the games and wanting to go home. They quit. They stopped believing them in themselves and they quit. Robert Saleh says you build teams and championship teams based on how you handle adversity. Well, guess what, Robert Saleh? Your bunch of young players, your guys, your team failed. You didn't answer the bell. You didn't deal with the adversity. You came out unprepared. Your coach, Mike LaFleur, unsophisticated, childish, not at a professional level, no game plan, nothing. Failed miserably. Failed. He had 10 days and he failed. And guess what? Your boy Jeff Ulbrich came out and was unprepared. And right off the bat, we let them punch us in the face, run the ball 65 yards, and take whatever little spoof of heart we had or energy we had and just suck it right out of us. So, yeah, I'll give you plenty of commentary, brother. I'm with you, my man. Like you're saying what I'm feeling. Lifelessness, man. It's a great word for it. Lifelessness. That's what that was. Lifelessness. But also, to me, quitting. They quit. What does quit mean if that not? Because I can see someone arguing saying they didn't quit, Jeremy. They were playing hard to the end. What does it mean to quit then? Then there is no quit. No one's ever quitted. If the Jets didn't quit in the last 2 games, then nobody has ever quit. Because you can't. What is quitting? Then there is no such thing as quitting, right? If nobody quits, how could it be? They didn't play. They were a joke. They were an embarrassment. It was an abomination. It was humiliating. It was so hard to watch. If I wasn't on with Green Bean, I would have been gone. TV off. You're wasting my time. I'd rather be with my wife and dog than watch this nonsense. They quit. We deserve better. You're right. So there's your commentary, buddy. Thanks for the chat, and thanks for the compliment. I appreciate it. Mike White shouldn't make that much money. Chase Daniels has entered the chat, laughing out loud. But yeah, you're right. He isn't getting that from us, in my opinion. Oh, Chase Daniels. Jets gang. Yeah, free safety. That's it, man. Brian. Telling you. Brian Branch. To me, we keep getting good players and draft top 5, and we don't get better. Isn't that the pattern of coaching and ownership at some point? At some point, yeah. At some point. But Joe Douglas really, since he's been in charge drafting and putting his talent in, he's only had one coach and one quarterback, right? One draft pick, one shot at quarterback, one shot at coach. So does he get another round? If it's not working next year, do they stick with Joe Douglas? Let him find a new coach? Try to find that quarterback and try to rebuild it with the talent he's put in? I hope so. Because I don't think it's so easy to find. I mean, come on. We're Jets fans. If you've been around for any amount of time, think back at our draft picks. Think back at the shit show this organization has been. And then think back at the players we've added and the young talent we have now. I don't want Joe Douglas gone. Because for the first time, at least we're getting young talent. It's the one good thing I could say is young talent. Let Joe Douglas keep bringing in young talent and managing the payroll and the finances, and maybe have to get another coach. Maybe get a seasoned, proven coach who says, I want to go there because they have tons of young talent. All they need is a quarterback and me. So if I'm Sean Payton or whoever it is, I'm that proven coach. All I got to do is get a quarterback and I can win a Super Bowl with that team and be a legend. Because they know it. Don't think they're stupid. They know you come. It's the same thing in basketball, coach of the Knicks. You come to New York and win a championship, you're a legend. So every potential coach knows that. If I go there and win, I'm a legend. A legend. Nothing less. You come and you win a Super Bowl for the Jets, you're a legend. Yeah, I think they should. Joe, I agree 100%. Every mock draft I'm doing, I'm trading down. Everyone. There's nobody, in my opinion, but Dom C might change my mind. I've been able to trade down and get lots of picks and still get Brian Branch. And sometimes I lose out on Brian Branch, but I pick one of the really good tackles. And I'm like, I could live with that. Give me a plug and play, really good starting tackle, and give me and then I get a couple add a couple of second and third round picks to our haul. In the I don't believe the simulator. I don't know if you really get offers like this, but a lot of the trade downs include first round picks for next year, for 24. And I'm kind of like, we need a break in the money anyway. So it's like, maybe we do trade out of the first round. I know people are going to hate that, but we get a whole haul of picks for the second and third round. We get a bunch of extra picks or a couple, and then we get like a first and second round pick next year, an extra. And then we go into 24 off season with 2 number 1s, 2 number 2s. So we can start replacing guys that we're not going to be able to pay. That's a way of doing it, but it's hard to think about all this because we don't have a quarterback. And none of this works without a quarterback. Why don't we see players talking on sidelines we never see after bad play? Salah doesn't get a whole offensive defense. Yeah, there's definitely there's something wrong, dude. I agree. He just stands there. Salah. I mean, he just stands there. Does anyone feel like 3 weeks ago was too soon to put Mike White back on the field? New to FB, so I know nothing, and I'm no doctor. But 3 weeks just seems so fast for broken ribs. Just curious. I think there's a chance that it's true that it was. He looked like he was in pain. I'm not trying to make excuses for Mike White though, because I'm not going to have everybody attack me on that because I know people are going nuts. I think, look, the Mike White thing, even if it was the injury, it doesn't matter. There's not enough time for him to prove himself for us to be comfortable paying him and relying on him to be the number 1 quarterback. Like, there's not enough time. So if it's because of his ribs and that's why he played poorly or he was just rusty, that's just unfortunate. But it's not enough for us to say, oh, we're going to just be okay and not bring in a veteran quarterback. We're just going to be like, Mike White was hurt. He's the guy. I was hoping Mike White was going to ball out and play amazing and then play great in Miami, lead us into the playoffs, play well. And then we could say, maybe we have our quarterback. But even if it was the ribs, and even if that's why, the problem is there's not enough time. Like, there's not enough he could do to make us feel or believe that he could be the guy or the answer or trust. That's the better word. There's nothing he could do to get us to trust him that he's the answer. But thank you so much for your comment. I appreciate it. And it is a good observation. It is a good observation. He definitely looked like he was in some pain. I didn't want to say it during the game because I didn't want everybody yelling at me. You're making excuses. I'm not making excuses. The game was what it was. The game was horrible. I'm just telling the truth. It looked like he was in pain. He took a couple of hits that weren't even that bad, and he looked like he was in pain. And as somebody who had a father who had some bruised ribs, it definitely did not go away in 3 weeks. I hate to say it, but Garrett Wilson's quite yesterday. Well, I mean, I don't know what to say. Just didn't have, I mean, there's not much wide receivers can do. Like DK Metcalf was quiet yesterday too. So was Lockett, when the other team has good cornerbacks and the quarterback is not a great passing quarterback, I don't know how, what more Garrett Wilson could have done. But we have to look at the tape because maybe Dom C will say he wasn't open ever. But then again, we've had Dom C come in here, play us some tape and show us, receivers wide open. So it's one of those things where you just have to look at the tape after the fact and see how he played. Sometimes you can't judge how a guy plays. It's really hard to judge our wide receivers when you have no offense. When you have horrible quarterback play, really bad offensive line play, it's really hard to judge wide receivers because it starts with, wide receivers are the result of the rest. Like great wide receiver play, seeing your receivers making plays and catches, that all has to originate from blocking and good run game. Like, so you get some guys committed to the box. It's a football. It's complementary. Everything affects everything else. It's like a machine. So that part of the machine is not going to work really well if the rest of the machine's not working. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know, like, those flavor squirts of espresso, those are the wide receivers. If you're making crappy, muddy espresso because the machine's not working well, those syrups aren't going to really be highlighted very well, are they? That's a horrible analogy, Jeremy. Weed the people. Welcome. Welcome, Weed the people. Yeah. I mean, this is a theory. People are saying that that we went to crap after we benched Zach. Maybe it wasn't handled right. Maybe that's not the way it's, I mean, it's very possible. It's very possible that the way it was handled messed with the team. But it also could just be that we lost a lot of confidence that day. Look at Daniel Jones' stats next to Zach's. I guess I won't say he was bad. Okay, I'll look. I'll admit I did a 20 quarterback spreadsheet of 20 quarterbacks in the last 30 years and their first 20 games, and I compared it to Zach. And I did not highlight Daniel Jones. So I can't talk to that. I would have to look at the I'd have to add them to my spreadsheet and do the numbers and do the math. So let me Mark Reese is here. He is a good friend of mine. He's a teacher. Everybody give Mark Reese some love. He deserves it. He's doing the job every day, working to make our future better with our kids. I know what that's like. It's not easy. It's not appreciated. So you go, bro. Hey, I got some guys in the chat. I'm going to bring in New York Jets fan 4. He's been streaming, all chatting all the day, participating. I'm going to give him a voice. Please respect opinions that are different. We think differently. We don't agree on everything, especially the day after, like, losing the way we lost. People are allowed to be mad and frustrated and down on the team. So, but I appreciate you being here, Jets fan 4. I'm going to bring you in right now. Hey, what's up, brother?
Hey, Jeremy, how's it going, man?
Good. How you feel? You feeling okay?
Okay, well, listen, I just want to start off by saying I don't want to give anybody a hard time. Like, I'm just, I'm just stating my opinion. But at the same time, like, I brought up Garrett Wilson, sort of gave up yesterday on us. And you could even tell the commentators even said it. In the third and fourth quarter, he stopped running his route. He wasn't coming to the ball on the one play where the ball hit him in the hands on the fourth down throw. He could have dove for that easily. It literally hit him in the hands. And when you watch the Raiders game, Devontae Adams is literally diving and stealing the ball out of corners' hands when you literally have no shot at it. And Garrett Wilson's wide open. The ball, okay, it wasn't a perfect ball, but it's hitting him in the hands. And that's the least of our worries of yesterday, like the defense at the beginning of the game and all that stuff. But going back to the coaching, like, these guys weren't ready to play yesterday. And Saleh is to blame for it. LaFleur, I don't know what play calling he's doing. He ran the same play 4 times yesterday, where you have the Jets sweep guy in motion and a run up the middle. And they literally lost yards or didn't gain a yard on all 4 attempts. So it
is incredible how many times he's lost yardage trying the same thing.
Yeah.
Over and over again, right? It's amazing. I haven't seen that in my lifetime from any offensive coordinator.
And for me, it's like people say, oh, when you watch the all-22, there's guys wide open. Well, sure, there's going to be guys wide open because they're jamming guys in the box. They know the Jets don't throw the ball deep. So why would you cover the deep ball when they never throw it? Yeah. They've literally thrown the ball deep. Like, you can count on one hand this year where they've actually given a wide receiver a shot one-on-one down the field, or even scheme up a play where you're putting a guy on an island one-on-one, either Denzel Mims, Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson. You never see them dialing up plays where they're putting their best receiver on a one-on-one on an island and giving him a shot at the ball. Even when a team brings in say if a guy gets injured and they're putting on their third string corner, the Jets never take a shot at those guys. They always, that's the play where they'll run the ball, and it'll be a stupid run call. Like it's just, I don't understand their logic behind play calling, developing players. Like JD, I was in the chat earlier with JD. Like JD's done a great job, but there's a lot of questions on like certain things he's done. And I get the first draft was maybe Gase had a lot to do with it. Like James Morgan in the 4th round, and Becton, I get it. But like you look in the other drafts, the one draft too where he took like they took like 5 safeties, and they tried to convert them into linebackers, and like, why not just take a linebacker?
That's been a big question for a lot of us. Look, I mean, it seems weird that we can't just have a traditional linebacker, like that they're inventing this new kind of defense, and we're clearly missing on the outside the kind of linebacker that can be fast and plug holes and help stop the run and be, like, and we're watching these guys like Quincy killed us yesterday.
Yep.
Quincy killed us. He
absolutely
killed us.
He missed a lot of tackles. He's trying to kill people when he doesn't have to. With simple wrap-up play, he's trying to put his shoulder literally through the guy's midsection. And I don't know, like we just need CJ Mosley yesterday got ran over. Green Bean said it in his podcast. Like he literally got pounded and ran over. Like we can't have that. And I also said it. I wrote, can't remember which channel I wrote it on, but we need Snacks Harrison. We need, like, Quinnen can only do so much in the middle as a run in the run game. We don't have that. Like, did you see what Woods did to us yesterday from Seattle?
Ridiculous, yeah.
Like when you have a 360-pound mammoth in the middle of a D line, how do you run through that?
Right.
Now, can you imagine we put one of those guys on our D line with Quinnen, with a Carl Lawson, and like a Bryce Huff on the outside? You can't run through the middle, and now you allow your edges to actually penetrate and close the pocket. All our QBs, like all the QBs, they escape through the middle because Quinnen's either through and the guy fights him off. It just leaves a gap because either Carl Lawson's getting pushed around way outside around the quarterback. He's been another disappointment this year. But we need a legitimate nose tackle. And I think losing Jonathan Marshall, and Dom C said it, I think that's going to bite us in the butt in the future, because I think he was going to be good for us. But I don't know. I think this team really needs to invest in a legitimate nose tackle, and we need some linebackers.
Yeah, I feel that Shep is not the guy. That's who it's supposed to be. Shep. He's supposed to be the guy that plugs the hole. He doesn't do it. It's why we would stick with him as that guy a second year when he clearly wasn't the guy. I'll never understand it. It makes no sense. For some reason, they're in love with him. I have no idea why.
And I don't get it either.
I also don't like the attitude, the philosophy of theirs that every single defensive tackle that plays on the inside has to be a great pass rusher.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's not true. You need a guy, like you were saying, you need a wall. You need a wall.
And it's funny because I can't remember who asked that, but somebody asked Robert Saleh that question in his press conference today. And they asked him, "Do you think you need to get bigger in the D line to stop the run?" And he said no. And I don't know how. Like, I don't see how he doesn't see that. Like we got ran on bad this year. It was brutal.
It is concerning when he denies things that are so obvious.
Yeah.
Like when he's like in denial of it, saying, "No, I don't think that's the problem." It's like, you don't think that's the problem. Like, what are you talking about? Their running back is literally running through us like paper.
Yeah, 60-yard run right off the bat yesterday.
Right
in a do or die game. Like that's what I've been arguing too. The last couple games, it's just like this is do or die, and this team has no urge to fight. Like you watch, my father's a Giants fan, and we were watching the game yesterday, and you could see Dayball. He literally lost it on the receiver coming off the field because he didn't do the right assignment. And then like 5 minutes later, you see him sitting down with that wide receiver on the bench, sort of apologizing for losing it, but also showing him what he did wrong and what to do to fix it. And I said it during the Jets game yesterday. Salah's literally standing on the sideline, and he looked defeated, lost, just beaten down. And I'm saying, my dad even said to me, he's like, why isn't he like going to the D line while they're on the bench and trying to rally? You see coaches do that. They go into the huddle of their D line, say, guys, we need a turnover. Or say the offense is struggling, get everybody together. Say, guys, like we need to do it. But you never seen that throughout the whole year.
Right.
And you
it's
question the
interesting.
leadership. You
It's,
question
and
it.
it's what's interesting is you're describing Pete Carroll, because that's all he does the whole
Well,
game.
and look at who's the greatest of all time. Belichick always does that.
Yeah.
When he sees a blow up on the field or a blown miscommunication, especially on the defense and special teams, Belichick is in there like a dirty shirt with the clipboard, showing everybody what they did wrong, and we just don't see that.
That's true. That's true.
So
I also agree with you about the deep passes going downfield, because it's funny because I said, we have another thing to look at. Like we do we're copying, or not copying, but we're rebuilding the same system that already exists in San Francisco. So this is the interesting thing. San Francisco does go deep on passes.
yeah,
They take
yeah,
shots at the end zone.
yeah.
So I don't even understand it. It's like
They even go deep on real
Yeah.
routes with McCaffrey. They
Yeah.
send McCaffrey deep on a real route, and we saw that one play, and Brees Hall almost took it in for a touchdown on the real route.
Yep.
But we don't seem to do it. Mike LaFleur, I think it was Buffalo Jets fan said it in his video today. Whenever something's going good, he goes away from it. And at the end of the day, he was a passing game coordinator. He has too much pride in the pass game. He always tries to open up the game, like Buffalo Jets fans said. He's just every game he's just itching to get that one game where he just breaks out. And he goes away from the run. Like you can't win games. Like the Rex days were run, run, run. And as bad as Sanchez was, you got to give it to Sanchez. He was able to do the play action and throw it to Braylon. And it was off balance on the defensive side, but we just don't do that. He doesn't have any balance. There's no creativity. Like last year, for example, we seen him do trick plays every game. He ran the same trick play, I'll give it that, maybe 20 times in the season, where he does the after the handoff, he goes wide and the running back on the reverse throws it back to him, but it worked.
Yeah.
And then you saw the third and 15 play where it was a slant throw, then a lateral back to Berrios, and Berrios ran it for like 20 something yards, and we got the first down. And last year there was teams actually copying those plays from us. When have you seen other teams copying Jets offensive plays? You never see that.
Crazy. Yeah.
So, and this year I can't count on how many times we've done a trick play. Yeah, we've done a fake punt, but there's no creativity in this offense. It's so vanilla, where I'm literally calling. Yesterday on the one play, I literally called it. He's going to do a fake play action, and he's going to want to throw deep. And he didn't, and there was nobody deep, so he throws it on the like you can literally tell what they're doing. And I don't even watch film. Can you imagine what an NFL pro coaches and team watching film all week on this team? It's very easy.
Well, it looks easy.
Yeah, like it is. I'm calling it. I'm not. And listen, I've never played football in my life, and like I'm calling it. I'm literally calling what they're doing. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, and when you have a guy like Garrett Wilson and a guy as fast as Elijah Moore, like why wouldn't you take shots downfield? Why wouldn't you just do a deep slant to Garrett Wilson and just let him have a race and just throw it up?
Or Denzel Mims. Like Denzel Mims is known to go up for the 50-50 balls. Give the kid a chance. And that's the other thing with LaFleur. How many times is he going to just put these players in like little boxes and not use them? Like as Elijah Moore, we complain about him at the beginning, but maybe he's actually up to something. Maybe it's more of a LaFleur thing he's pissed off at, because he doesn't seem to know how to use guys. Every offensive coordinator in this league that's actually successful draws up plays for individual players on their offense and schemes them to get open. We have so many excellent wide receivers and talented players on this offense. and he does not use them. Like Mims is sitting on the bench for Jeff Smith. Like, not to say Jeff Smith is bad, but like you have a 6'4" wide receiver that runs a 4.4. Like,
Yeah.
scheme something up.
Yeah, it was always puzzling to me is when, and this is how I imagine Elijah would be pissed off, is every time they brought Jeff Smith and even Berrios in on these little trick gadget plays, I'm
Yeah,
like, are you telling me that we wouldn't be better without? Isn't Elijah better than them? Like, why isn't it
absolutely.
Elijah Moore? It doesn't make any sense. Elijah Moore is clearly better than them.
Absolutely. It's mind-boggling. I don't know. I don't know. And JD better do something with this O-line in the offseason, because I was saying it earlier in the chat. Like, he literally, like, this defensive rotation, which is all great and dandy, but you can't go sign all these defensive line guys for a rotation when you have tons of talent on that line already. And you're literally, and we all said it, literally every Jets fan was saying it going into the season. And I remember watching you, and you were one of the biggest guys of saying it. Do we actually want to trust Mekhi Becton going into the season? And you can't. You can't. You cannot trust Mekhi Becton to stay healthy. And if he does it this year, he deserves to be fired before the season even starts, because he needs to go get a legitimate left tackle. We all said don't sign Sheriff, don't sign Sheriff. He's injury prone. But we can't help that. Like, injuries are injuries, but at the same time, like, you need to have backup. You need to have somebody that could play. As much as Dwayne Brown, we all love him. The guy's playing with literally one arm, but he's 36 years old. He's been playing injured. You can't expect the guy to do much.
Yeah.
There was just no. You have 12 guys on the D line, but you only have, like, say 7 guys on the offensive line, and maybe 3 of those 7 were maybe legitimate starters, and McGovern, AVT, and Tomlinson, I guess you would say. Max Mitchell was a draft pick. Fant was injured. Dwayne Brown, you had to go get him as an emergency.
Yeah.
So, and then, like, you go trade Jacob Martin for a running back that you don't even use. Why aren't you packaging something up to go get another offensive lineman?
The move for James Robinson is very confusing, because
Yeah,
I hate trades that make contingent draft picks, because it always impacts how you use the player. Like, oh, if he gets this many yards, then it's a
who
fourth
cares?
round pick. I
Who
hate
cares?
that, because right away you're giving yourself motivation not to help your guy be successful. It's stupid.
Absolutely.
It's stupid.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's just a bunch of questions marks, and we thought we were gonna have less question marks. We have more going into it, in my opinion, this year, because uh we don't have a quarterback. We don't have an O line as of now, because half the guys are all gone. McGovern's a free agent. Um, we're literally, we got to sign Q, so we don't have money there. We have to sign him, because all Saul has been talking about is you have to sign your players that deserve it. So now if we let Quinnen walk, how does that look on us?
Hmm.
It doesn't look good. So we
No.
have to sign him. I don't know. I don't know what we do at this point. We literally don't. Carl Lawson, I don't know. You cut him? You have to cut him at this point.
I think that he's going to have to renegotiate. Like, we're not
Yeah.
going to pay. We're not going to pay him 15 million.
No,
We're not going to pay him 15 million. There's no cap hit at all.
no,
Zero.
no. So
Zero
I think
dead
they only
cap.
have 15 million as of now. 15 million. Okay, when guys free up from losing them, but you got to replace them, right? So I don't know. We're just it's going to be tough. It's going to be an interesting offseason. That's all I could say.
It's going to be very.
Hopefully JD can nail a few more draft picks. That's all we could pray for, and maybe hopefully he can renegotiate Mosley, renegotiate Tomlinson, hopefully renegotiate Whitehead, because that's just a disaster.
Disaster. So
So I don't know.
before you go, give me your dream quarterback for offseason. Who do you want to see in a Jets uniform next year at quarterback?
Honestly, I don't want to see Mayfield. I don't. Although he may have turned the corner, I don't know. That's just, I don't want to bank on him.
Mhm.
Carr, as much as he would be the best quarterback we've had since Namath. If you look at his stats in cold weather, I think he was 0-6 this year.
Yep.
To be honest with you, I don't want Rodgers. I don't want Brady. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Minshew did not look that great the other day.
No, he didn't.
So I don't know. Is it like there's to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind if Tannehill's healthy. I know it's Tannehill, but you know what? That maybe that's what we need. We just need a bigger quarterback, pocket passer. Tannehill's decent with timing. Maybe just for a year, let Zach sit. Zach needs to sit a whole year, I think, and we should have sat him the beginning.
All right. Well, Tannehill is certainly better than anyone else we have on the roster at the moment.
Honestly, it's not a great. I'm not happy by saying Tannehill, but
Yeah.
honestly, if I were to go at anybody, he'd probably be reasonably priced. Jimmy G, you can't rely on Jimmy G. He hasn't stayed healthy, and with our O line, if we don't get another O line, like if you put Shanahan's blocking schemes up against our blocking schemes, if he can't stay healthy under his blocking schemes, he might not even make it to regular season with us.
Yeah.
So you can't bank on Jimmy G. I don't know. Tannehill would probably be my option because he'd be cheaper. He's sort of proven himself away from Adam Gase. He's gotten Tennessee to the playoffs. I think he's won, 4 playoff games, something like that.
And if we do what we're supposed to do and become a running team, and you put him in a lot of play action, Tannehill's proven to be very good at that.
I'll tell you what. You give us Tannehill this year, and if he was healthy, I bet you we'd probably have 10, 11 wins this year. We'd be in the run for winning the division.
I do not argue that at all. Any kind of competent quarterback play, any competent, consistent quarterback play, and we're a playoff team for sure.
And Jeremy, if you think about it, really, like if they plan on keeping Zach, you can't really get rid of Zach. They're in that. It's a tough predicament with them because you're gonna lose money. You're gonna swallow money regardless. So why not have a Tannehill 2 years, 1 year for sure, maybe an out after the second year. On the second year, let Zach sit. Hopefully Tannehill could stay healthy. Zach could learn a little bit. You get a quarterback coach to come in, and maybe we go from there. That's really all I could think of. JD's got a lot of work to do, man. I don't know. It's gonna be an interesting offseason. It's gonna be a good one, that's for sure.
It is. Hey, man, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Thanks for all your comments in the chat and everything, all your support over the last year. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Jeremy, man. No problem. Have a good day.
Take care. All right. So you see, that's interesting. We don't talk about Tannehill enough because Tannehill's I know I know, and you could hear like none of us are going crazy. Jets fan 4 is not sitting there screaming Tannehill's going to be the answer to our prayers, but at the same time, would immediately be the best guy in the locker room. Probably wouldn't cost too much. Has experience with play action. We're supposed to be a play action team. I know it hasn't worked out that way, but we're supposed to be. And maybe when Breece Hall is healthy and we address the offensive line, maybe we'll be year 3. Like this is the 3rd year now. We're going to go into year 3 and asking the question, are we finally going to be the offense we're supposed to be, which is a run-first offense, which sets up play-action passes and makes it really hard for defenses because when you're able to run the ball and you force 8 in the box and then you have a guy who could do strong play-action passes, it forces the defense to deal with guys like Garrett Wilson in a very scary way. Because, like if you're again, you have to stop the run, stack the box. Then you get Garrett Wilson one-on-one downfield. Very dangerous. And Tannehill is a guy proven that can get the ball there. He can do it. He does it in Tennessee. Did it in Tennessee for a few years. So might not be the dream quarterback you want, but could be the guy. Billy is saying $36 million. That's right around what Derek Carr is. I think Derek Carr is $33 million. So I guess the question becomes, if you had to choose between the two, who would you take? And it's funny because it's going to be an interesting offseason because no matter what we do, NJ Pete, what's up, brother? You call in. If you look at the top of the chat, I have it pinned. There's a StreamYard. It's the first chat. If you scroll all the way to the top of the chat, there's a StreamYard URL. Anybody can call in by hitting that link. The link is on top of the chat. I think I did it right. I pinned it. Everybody else was able to find it, so I think it's working. And you can scroll to the top and hit that little link, and that's how you get in. But Baker Mayfield, less than $10 million, huh? Wow. I would take Baker Mayfield at less than 10 million and get the same number of wins. Baker, I mean, it's hard to know. This is going to be such a big fight in the offseason. I mean, obviously, I hope whatever they do, if they do get a Derek Carr or if they get a Baker Mayfield or if they get anybody, I hope everyone will unite and just root for them. And it's not going to be all havoc and everybody cursing each other out and like completely screwing up the fan base. I hope everybody will just get together and just root for whatever we do. But I mean, it's pretty much anyone's going to be a step up. Anyone is better than what we got right now. And that's sad to say, guys. It hurts me to say that. It hurts me to say that. It hurts me for that it's that bad for Zach. That it's gotten so bad where I'd say anybody is better. But I don't have any, like, if I wanted to argue against that and argue that that wasn't true, I don't have the fuel. I don't have the ammunition to argue that Zach is as good as any of these guys, as much as I would like to. So any of these guys we're naming, we can fight all we want. They're the best guy in the locker room the second they walk in. But anyway, we got NJ Pete waiting to come in, so let's bring him in. NJ Pete, welcome, man. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
I could hear you.
Hey, it's good seeing you again, Jeremy. How you been?
I'm
Happy
good.
New Year.
Happy New Year. How you
Yeah,
been?
good
How was your
seeing you.
holiday?
It was good. It was good. I was supposed to go up there and see my son, and ended up that I decided to stay because my daughter couldn't make it up there. So I decided to stay here and celebrate it with her at Clearwater Beach, which was, by the way, the 24th and the 25th, the coldest 2 days I have ever spent in the state of Florida.
Wow, I can't even imagine it being cold there. I think
It was freezing. I mean, she's right by the marina, and it was just cold. We had cold weather,
Wow.
but very depressed about all yesterday. Very, very depressed showing. I
Yeah.
like that call from the other young man, NY Jet Fan 4. He's right in so many aspects. One of the things that I want to bring to light, and I don't know if we spoke. No, we didn't speak about this, but I want to talk about is in regards to Zach. I like the idea of Tannehill. I don't want to see Brady. To me is an insult. First of all, as a patriotic, no pun intended, patriotic Jet fan since the 70s. That to me is just painful to even have somebody suggest that to bring Brady. I don't want Brady. Rodgers is going to cost too much money. There's no way we can get Lamar here. Too much money. We would dismantle. We do have youth, but we would dismantle a certain portion of the foundation that we have here that we should not. So with that being said, and I don't want to lose my frame of thought, with Zach, we have to understand that our number 2 pick has played 2 broken seasons. He's played less than 21 games. He lost his quarterback development coach, tragically. God rest his soul in peace.
Mhm.
And he was really never provided with any, and you're in the educational business. So we want to make you a mathematician, but we're going to give you an English teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, we're just going to give you a mathematician, a mathematic teacher that's right out of college. This is her first job. So that being said, yeah, and he's playing in a tough market. We all know that.
Yep.
That's a
Very
given.
unforgiving. Very unforgiving.
It is an unforgiving. It's hard. It's hard. We know what it's like living up there. We know what that market is like. And the kid has the talent. He's got the physicality. I think what's happening is that without a developmental coach to say to him, listen, we don't need to work too much on your physical, except maybe your footwork from a quarterback point of view. But really, we need to work with you. And this is something he could work also with his defensive coordinator as well as his own offensive coordinator. And his problem is, and I see this, he steps up to the line and he sees 11 guys across him, and he 85% of the time has no clue as to what defense he's going to be up against. I do not think that Zach Wilson has developed the NFL moxie that a NFL quarterback requires to understand and read a defense as soon as he sets under center or in shotgun. LaFleur, like he said before, the young man, extremely vanilla. He's predictable. A first-year fan that's watched this season would predict his play calling. So he doesn't understand. He does. I think that LaFleur has a disconnect, has a major disconnect with his offensive team. Yes, we've suffered incredible, and maybe unsurmountable damage due to injury. I think Beckham was a huge miss. Huge miss. AVT, oh my God. There's no, we all know here. I don't want to waste anybody's time. We all know just what a detrimental hit that was. Brees, that was huge. So we lost. But then again, as a coach, you just got to strap yourself the same way that we profess, hey, the next man up. We have to go and say, hey, you know what? I got to step up, as a coach. I got these guys. And how do I deviate my scheme or rearrange, renew my scheme to what I have? You treat certain students a certain way. You treat them all equal with the same level of respect. But there's certain students that you could work this way here with them, and others that you could work this way without displacing anything bad or really different, amongst the both of them. So I see LaFleur, and I'm a LaFleur lover. I love my team. No, I want to stay with Mike White. I want to stay with Zach Wilson. Yes, if we can get a Tannehill for no money that it's going to hurt and impact the solidification of what we have here already as a base, I'm okay with that. And honestly, I think that we do need a quarterback coach. And I think that we need to bitch slap, little Mike a little bit and wake him up and tell him, hey, you got a scheme. Are you able to do this? They have to have a heart-to-heart as best friends, almost like brothers, and say, hey, can you do this? And if you can't, then oh God, it hurts me. Then yeah, you can't. I think that's the difference between an offensive coordinator that's here and an offensive coordinator that's up here. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely think that the only thing that's going to let like Salah off the hook with LaFleur is if LaFleur comes to him and goes, look, we'll do damage control, demote me to passing coordinator, bring in a veteran offensive coordinator. I'll take the job, like because you don't want to fire me, and I love it here. I'll be like an assistant offensive coach. I'll be like the passing coordinator guy, whatever it is, because he is a smart guy. Whatever it is that he does, some of his plays were good. And if he was able to do that, if he was a big enough man to do that, to say, I'm not what's best right now. I still need some time in the oven. I need to grow a little bit more. I'm not ready to be the full guy. I don't want to make it hard on you. I know you're like a family to me. I don't want to make you fire me. Let's just get that offensive coordinator in here. Let's get the veteran guy in here and let me take a back seat, step down a little bit. It would be amazing for the team if he did that. It would be an amazing thing. It's very rare. I don't know if it's ever happened or really ever happened, but it would be an incredible thing because then the Jets would be free to go get a Frank Reich or, bring in the right kind of guy.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. Let me tell you, I've been really frustrated. This one hurt. Yeah. This one hurt because, we talk about White and whatnot. Minnesota send me a bad signal that we were in the red zone. What was it? 7 times, Jer? Was it 7 or 6?
Yeah.
And we only posted scores, I think, out of 7 times, either once or twice. And I know the O-line is hurting. I know that. I got that. But again, I think that was the biggest indicator for me that, oh boy, this does not look good. I think the Minnesota game was the one that really changed my heart. As much as it was painful with the New England game, but the Minnesota game was the one that really iced it for me. and I started having sort of a change of heart with Michael, and wishing that either he needs to be reevaluated or he has to do a little bit of reevaluation himself. As to, hey, listen, this is what I have, you know, these are my players. How well does he really know his players? You know,
Yeah.
And I have to put them, you know, they talk about putting our players in the best position to, I mean, yeah, okay, that's every coach's ideology or hope, but I don't see anything that's even if there was failure on something different, you'd say, hey, he's trying something different, and okay, it failed, but it's the insanity definition, you know,
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's just insane for me, man. That's what
Yeah.
I have to say.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I feel your pain. It's been they really messed with us. They messed with us. They got us really believing, you know, and then just punched us in the gut. You know, I think Chode is coming in and saying I have so much trouble not calling him Knob. But he says once AVT and Hall went down, it was a foregone conclusion that the season was done. I definitely felt that I didn't feel like the season was done, like we can't make the playoffs at that point. But I did feel that any miracle threat, because I was starting to believe to the point because Brees Hall was so good that
Right.
wow, we might go deep into the playoffs because we have this great defense and we have this running back that is like Henry, like a
Mhm.
Derrick Henry. Like we have this real guy who might, and he's only a rookie. He's getting better every week. He might take over the league. Like he
That's
might
right.
make us unstoppable because we're going to
That's
have this
right.
crazy running back that's going to be so unbeatable. And then everything else is just butter. We have like these good receivers, you know, like Garrett Wilson explode, you know, so we're going to be able to do real play action and get one-on-one
Mhm.
situation. I thought it was going to be so good.
Mhm.
And to have Brees Hall go down and lose AVT, who was such a pivotal part of the team and the
Best O, I
blocking,
think he's. I think he. I'm sorry. I think AVT. Go ahead. AVT, best O lineman in the league.
no argument for me.
He's the
And
Joe
like,
Klecko. He's the Joe Klecko of the offensive
yeah,
line.
insane. No matter where you put him, he was good,
That's right.
dominant. And like,
Dominant.
it was so painful when those two went down because I do agree to an extent, not that the season was over, but I do agree that I lost a bit of belief. Like I definitely said I don't see how he can go much further than just sneaking into a wild card spot when we lost those two. I said because how does any team survive that when you're so young,
Right.
when you're
Right.
so young, and you
Mhm.
lose your by far your two best players
Yeah.
on offense?
That's difficult. I mean, that's difficult to do. You know, you don't. It's hard to recover, even for a seasoned team. Mind you, your point is great and it's well taken. And you're talking about a team that's fundamentally the foundation is being set right now.
Mhm.
So fundamentally, your best two offensive line players are gone in the same quarter, same game.
Yep. Yep. The heart of the team. That was, you know, and he's saying it in the chat still, showed that was why we were winning. We were literally winning because of Brees
Yeah,
Hall
that's
and the
absolutely right.
defense. I mean, we can't forget the defense. And then we saw that what happens to your defense when you take away that, when you take away an offense who can score, your defense is only going to last so long. They're going to start breaking and cracking because
Right.
it's a team game. Even though they're not on the field at the same time, the confidence and the level of a team, like the personality and character of a team, and just like the identity of a team, you're together, you're locked together, the defense and the offense. And when we lost the ability to score points, it it impacts the defense because there's only
Right.
so much they can carry on their shoulders.
Right. Hey, listen, you can't have them out there for 40 minutes. You
Yeah,
know, that's also not fair. They tired out.
yeah,
You know, they're going to play tired. I totally agree with that. I
yeah,
totally agree.
yeah. So there you go.
Hey, it's so good seeing you. How's Adam?
Adam's good. He's good.
Yeah,
He's
I said
not happy now. He's not happy about what's going on with this team.
I'm
But
I'm sure he must have been ranting. I would have loved to have seen that rant. Trust me, I was ranting too. My son had to actually because we watch it. He's back home in Jersey, and I'm here for now in Tampa, and we watch it together. So and we're FaceTiming. We're on. So it's like he's here, and I just got so nuts. And I'm not one to lose it that badly. I lost it. I lost it. I lost it. And he actually hung up on me. He says then he called me back and he says, "You're hurting, Dad." And I says, "You have no idea." Even though there was a part of me, because and again, I don't things change. Listen, everything is evolutional, everything is cyclical. And yeah, we're on a bad cycle right now, We uh uh but I do believe that we finally reached, and I think you and I may have spoken about this when we were both up in for the first game. The foundation of this team is legitimately set in stone. With the youth and with Douglas. Listen, Douglas is going to earn his money this offseason. I think this is the first season in his contract that he's going to earn his money. And I am a dead on believer of JD. You know that. I think he'll earn his money this off season. But I think we have the foundation, man. It's painful. Listen, you know how and real diehard, even long time diehard Jet fans, we know where we're coming from, and we don't want to be that pessimistic. I don't see the glass half empty. I don't see the glass half full. I see it half.
yeah,
It's what it is. It's half. It's neither half empty nor half full. It's half. And with that being said, and maybe it does. I hope it comes over the way I'm meaning it and the way I see it in my heart and in my mind. We have such a rock solid foundation set now, even through these growing pains, that I think that we have a bright, bright future. And I'm telling you, I could see us in the big show next year or the year after in 24. And I'm willing to bet money on it.
no, I hear you. I hear you. I do still am very. I still feel very hopeful for the future, although I know there's a lot of challenges. Like I understand that we have like a lot of challenges because
Yeah.
because of the quarterback situation. Obviously, is sitting right on top. This, you fix the quarterback situation, you'll be surprised how light or little the other things will feel. Like right now, the weight and the burden of safeties and linebacker and the burden of
It's
offensive
not the
line.
same, right?
It's not the same. It's
Right.
amazing how much lighter those things become if you could solve quarterback. And I think that JD, it's going to be his biggest test because, I mean, the reality is whether it's his fault or not, as of right now, I mean, this could change, but as of right now, we missed on that pick with Zach, right? And
Yeah.
it's not like a million other GMs wouldn't have made that pick. It's not like it's the most horrible, disgusting thing in the world. It's not like he went his own way and went against every other GM. I mean, nobody barked, nobody complains, nobody yelled or screams as far as professional analysts all over the league when he picked Zach Wilson, right?
Right.
And we don't know 100%. Again, he's going to still be developing, so I don't want to nail the coffin shut on Zach Wilson. But
Okay.
for right
Fair
now,
enough.
he has to get it right this time. Whatever he's going to do, he has to get it right. However he's going to fix this, whether it's, people yelling Derek Carr, Jimmy G, whatever it is, he has to nail it.
Yes.
He has to nail it.
Yeah, I agree. I
You know?
agree. 100%, man. 100%.
And if he can, we'll be surprised how everything else will seem to just get better. Like I have a good feeling. Call me an optimist at the moment. I have a good feeling about Becton. I think Becton's going to come back and be okay.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Yep.
I really do. And I think we're going to get at least the minimum of two very good players in this draft, unless we trade down and just rebuild our draft capital, like our suitcase of picks. I think if you look at the draft and you look at the positions we need and the guys that will be there, we have a great opportunity in the first and second round to get a lot better as a football team. There's some amazing talent coming into this draft in the areas that we need. We're going to be in range of getting either a plug-in offensive tackle or an excellent free safety in Brian Branch. And then in that second round, if we want to solve center and not have to worry about center for the next 5 to 10 years, there's a kid from Minnesota that's going to be there in the second round, most likely. So we could address a lot of problems in the draft right in our first 2 rounds. It's just a matter of we need the quarterback. None of it means anything if we don't get the quarterback.
Let me ask you, so would you be opposed to trading down, though?
I'm not opposed to it because we don't have a ton of picks and we need a lot of things. So I'm not opposed to it. If JD doesn't love Brian Branch like I love him or just thinks that he could do better value, I don't mind if he gets a draft haul. If we take whatever it's going to be, that 13th pick, we trade down into the 20s and we get an extra number 1 for next year and we get an extra second round pick this year, like something like that. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Always
I like that.
I'm always wanting to get better, but always still build. Always still build. Like, we're not done yet. It's only been 2 years. Like, there's nothing wrong with continuing to bring in lots of picks that open up the chance to get lots of great players, and we've seen what JD could do with draft capital, right? You saw him trade up and get JD. You saw him trade up a little and get Breece Hall. So you saw how he traded up to get AVT. So JD, it's never a bad thing every once in a while to take that trade back, get tons of draft capital because he knows how to use it.
Right. In JD, we believe. We got to get a shirt.
In JD, we believe.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, listen, God bless you. Hey, listen, all the best to everybody. I'll stay on, and good seeing you, and I'll see you soon, and Happy New Year.
Take care, brother.
All right, brother. Go Jets.
Take care. Go Jets. It looks like we might have Dom C back. I'm just waiting for his camera to go on, so I know he's back. Thanks for the super chat, Knobcraft. I appreciate the super chat. And we got one more, a super chat that I didn't see. I hope I didn't miss any. Let me know if I missed any. Edward, thank you so much. Fire everyone. I appreciate the super chat, my friends. I don't know if I want to fire everyone yet, but I understand the feeling and the sentiment. I understand your frustration. Fire everyone. That's one way to go about it. But thanks for the super chat again. I appreciate it. And I feel your frustration, bro. I'm right there with you. I feel it. I feel the pain. I feel like sometimes you just got to know. Sometimes there's got to be something done to wake everybody up and let people know, hey, we're serious about this. Maybe someone does need to go. Maybe something real has to happen. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong. I mean, maybe someone has to go. Someone has to be fired. Some move has to be made. I don't know. It feels weird to just say that we can have a collapse like that, and it doesn't feel like anybody's being held accountable at all. We need NFL ready OL with quality depth. I'm trying to read it like Braden from New Zealand. That's got to be JD's biggest priority. I definitely think that we need an offensive line with depth, but I also think we need a quarterback, my friends. We need a quarterback. But go figure. But yeah, I agree with you. Offensive line is everything. It means so. It's so not sexy. Like people love wide receivers and running backs and this and that. It's so not sexy, although it's becoming a little bit sexier. But offensive line is the jam. You know what I mean? Like offensive line is, you get a great offensive line in there. You block like hell. You open holes. It makes it easy. It makes the game easy. You see what happens when we get pressure on the quarterback on the defensive side. It's the same thing on the offensive side, man. You win the game in the trenches, and every other part of the game, every aspect of the game gets so much easier when you could win in the trenches. But you have to have the quarterback. Got to have it. We all see it. The quarterback touches the ball and does too much to not have that position correct. Like, you just have to have a quarterback. Nothing you can do about it. Dom C, I see that you're there, but the camera's not on. And can you put something in the chat? Do you want me to bring you in now? Am I waiting for your camera to go on? I don't know what you want, my friend. I see you there, and I've been waiting to bring you in. Oh, no camera, voice. I'm sorry. You did. You texted me. Dom C, everybody. Voice only. What's going on, friend? You with me, Dom? I got you in, bro. But we don't hear you. Oh, I hear something.
Hey, buddy.
What's going on, bro?
How are you, man?
Good. Because I can't believe I've been doing this almost 3 hours now, but here I am, my final day of vacation. And what am I doing? I'm streaming.
Enjoy it, dude. I've been doing some stuff around the house today. My wife and I have been de-Christmasing the house. So I've had you and many others on the headset just walking around doing some stuff. I was doing some prep cooking, so on and so forth. So I figured I'd hop on and say hello.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for coming by. And so I was talking about Cap. Talk about New Orleans and the Rams. I was trying to explain. I don't know how I did. I was trying to explain how they're eventually going to have to pay the piper. Eventually, whether it's dead cap space from cutting guys or did I explain it right? I mean, what's the repercussions of what those teams are doing?
So, I mean, the repercussions are exactly as, as was stated, as you stated, as was stated in the chat, so on and so forth. You can keep kind of kicking the can down the road, but at some point it's going to catch up. And a perfect example is last year with New Orleans. Leading up into the first day of the new year in 2022, I don't know if you remember or not, but New Orleans had to get like 100 million, or I could be making that number up, but there's an exorbitant amount of money clear to get under the cap because all NFL teams have to be under the cap by the start of the new year, which is the reason why New England didn't even have a chance, a snowball's chance. I don't even think they offered Marcus Williams, a safety. I don't even think they offered Teron Armstead because of the cap gymnastics that they were playing, all the extra money that they were juggling around, they just couldn't bring in any more. They were all quote unquote capped out. So that's the problem. Buffalo's going to go through it sooner rather than later as well. Like this, you can keep putting void years and you can, keep extending players for all lengths, all sorts of lengths, but at some point that money is going to come to a head. And I think you explained it very well, is that you can cut guys, and designate them post June 1st cuts, and you can then take that salary cap hit, instead of 1 year you can break it up over 4. Okay, but at some point, if you keep doing that over and over and over, it limits the amount of cap room you have to actually field a team, and it limits the amount of money that you can actually transact on free agents, which is why New Orleans this year I think is a great example. They didn't bring in any big name free agents. Yeah, they brought back Jameis and for 1 year and a little thing here, a little thing there, because all their money's tied up. They had nothing to do. They had a couple draft picks, and they're relying on these draft picks that they've made over the past couple of years, whether they're good or not. Paulson Adebo, the cornerback out of Stanford, really comes to mind, is that he's a very mediocre at best player. He probably wouldn't be the 5th cornerback on a roster, but he's forced to start because they have no other options. They're out of options, because they're so hamstrung with the salary cap. People always have a tendency to say, oh, the salary cap is not real, so and so. It's actually very real. And Joe Douglas did an excellent job to make sure that we had no dead money leading into this year. We had the lowest amount of dead money in the league leading into the year. I think it was less than $1 million. Now, after the cuts, we accrued some dead cap for next year for the guys that we cut. The small signing bonuses for Pinnock or Hamza Nasruddin, even though he's back in the practice squad, when he's cut, we still have to absorb that, bonus or signing bonus that he gets. We traded Jacob Martin, and we have to eat, that $2.5 million for the next 2 years. So we're not at zero or under $1 million like we were, but we're also not in bad shape whatsoever. I think that's what Joe Douglas has done very, very well, is he's kept us in a position financially to be successful year after year, even if it means, we're still in a place right now with our salary cap, although we only have, as of this second, we have $16 million of cap space for next year, plus the 3 that will roll over from this year that's left. So 19 doesn't seem like a lot. That number can easily jump to 50 with a couple swift moves without taking on too much dead cap. So we're in a position that we still have flexibility for now, and we still have flexibility for years to come. Now, the caveat to that is that everything was structured around our $9 million quarterback, Zach Wilson, being the bread and butter. And obviously, truth is we're not there yet. You can argue whichever way if you think we're ever going to get there or not. But, it's going to take a little bit more of a hustle or of the gymnastics, if you will, to bring in a veteran quarterback. But I don't think anybody will say differently. I think it's something that's of paramount importance at this point. So if it means that we say goodbye to the likes of Carr Lawson and or Corey Davis, or we don't bring back Sheldon, we don't re-sign Sheldon Rankins for the 2 years, $7 million per that he'll probably get somewhere. That's the cost of doing business with a free agent quarterback, as opposed to relying on the number 2 overall draft pick that you signed and paid. So
yeah, I like the philosophy of I'm committed to the long-term way of doing it. Like it didn't work. It's been 40 years for me and it didn't work. Like buying the free agents, doing everything for the 1-year win now thing. It didn't work. And I'm ready I'm signed up for the philosophy of building a team that just competes and gives you a chance every year. Like just every year, like Baltimore, Pittsburgh, New England, Green Bay, every year, just consistently for a long time, year after year. I think San Francisco is going to become that now. Always having a chance.
Yeah.
But never selling the farm and sacrificing everything, for the 1 year.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's obviously, different ways to skin a cat, and New Orleans has made a buzz over the past few years in doing business the way they do it. The Rams, F those draft picks. They won a Super Bowl doing it the way they do it, And then there's teams that are the polar opposite, that have built something sustainable, in the Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills, the Buffalo Bills and Cincinnati Bengals, 2 perfect examples of teams that built their teams around, the rookie deals of their quarterbacks. How, the big difference with them than us is, by year 2, they knew that they hit on their quarterback and they had no other worries.
Mm-hmm.
They might be in a different position. They might not be the juggernauts they are if they had to go sign a $20 to $30 million free agent quarterback in year 3. So it's a different. It's going to be very interesting, but I digress, because I don't think that there's, and I mean this wholeheartedly, I'm not like a little fanboy, but there's probably no one I would want to lead this, off season in 2023 outside of Joe Douglas. Like I have the utmost confidence and faith in him. I know there's been a lot of sour talk about, has he really produced, and look at these draft classes and this and that. Like, I don't know, man. I just don't. That's just not how I feel. Connor, Country Club Connor had put something out saying, well, if you think about it, we gave Joe Douglas a pass on his 2020 draft because it was Gase influenced, but was 2021 really better? Outside of AVT, what'd you get? Only a slot corner. That's not necessarily the case. I don't necessarily believe that as well. First off, it is few and far between anyone's full draft. When they hit on 6 or 7, of their, to get 6 or 7 of your draft class to stick and become real major players on your team, like that's an anomaly. New Orleans did it a couple years ago where they had like 5 guys from a draft class. We look like 2022 could be very, very promising in that manner for us. Seattle had a great draft themselves this year, but to say that the only good thing that came out of 2021 was AVT, I just think that's short-sighted. I think that's kind of like an easy way out. Like Michael Carter II has been a standout on our defense. He's part of the reason why our defense and our scheme has worked so well. And don't people can't get it twisted. Like the nickel cornerback position is difficult, and he's adjusted very well, especially since he wasn't even a nickel corner in college most of the time. He was a free safety. So
I think Sherwood's is gonna pan out. I do.
I think Sherwood's going to be fine. I think Hamsa's going to be fine. Are they going to be? I'll speak about Hamsa first. Hamsa I think is going to be a decent pro. It's never going to be an all-pro, so on and so forth. But you can't have 53 all-pros on your team. That's just not realistic either.
Right.
You're going to have some guys that come in and fill in or play on in specific sets and on special teams, so on and so forth. And a 6th-round draft pick in Hamsa Nasruddin, I think he's gonna adjust to that just fine. Jonathan Marshall. I think that I think that's going to be a big. We're going to feel that one next year, especially with Rankins, Solly Thomas, and Nathan Shepard all not under contract. It would have been very nice to just transition Jonathan Rankins Jonathan into that rotation as a piece of that rotation very cheaply. Now we don't have that. Jonathan Marshall, I should say, not Jonathan Rankins, Jonathan Marshall. He was part of that class as well in 2021. So, there's good pieces. Pinnock. Pinnock was, listen, Pinnock didn't work as a cornerback. He transitioned to safety. He had a couple nice plays. He was definitely learning. And when it came down to it, before the season started this year, they made a decision. And they made a decision that Tony Adams was a better fit for the roster than Jason Pinnock. And I can't knock him for that. And that's no disrespect towards Pinnock, but Pinnock was still a work in progress. Tony Adams offers a lot more versatility. He does the stuff that Pinnock didn't do. Pinnock was longer. Pinnock was leaner. Pinnock was, maybe had better ball skills in regards to, actually being able to catch the ball. But, overall, soup to nuts, top to bottom, Tony Adams is a safety. Pinnock is just learning how to be a safety. So, I can't knock him for that decision. That's a decision that they made, and Pinnock has, he ended up on the Giants and he's a rotational safety over there. Good for him. So all these guys that Country Club Connor say that we missed on, I don't know if they're really misses. Now, James Morgan in 2020, that's a miss. You know?
Yeah.
I can't say that Hamza Nasruddin yet is a miss.
Right, because some of those guys in those part of the draft, they're meant to be development players, and if
Yeah.
they end up developing, like I really like, I hope that they use them next week. I saw Nasruddin on the field yesterday, which was surprising. I would love to see next week. It's a meaningless game anyway. I would love to see some guys. Why not activate Jeremy Ruckert? Let's see him. Let's give him some reps. Why not let Sherwood play a whole game and see what he is at linebacker a little bit? Like, this isn't like the one good thing. I mean, there's very little good to take out of being eliminated from the playoffs, but can't we take the one good thing that you can get out of it, that you could suck out of it, and maybe at least get to see these players and get an idea of what we have?
Yeah, and I think we will. Listen, I think that's probably along the lines of the overall mentality is, okay, we're going to give some of these guys some more run and see what they got. Now, I can't really speak for Ruckert because realistically, I don't think Jeremy Ruckert was ever kind of written down for a big part of the plan this year. Jeremy Ruckert was a pick for 2024 when we can be out of CJ Uzama's contract relatively scot-free, and then have to make a decision on Conklin at that point. So,
So
these are the picks. This is the Ozzie Newsome
pipeline.
influence in Joe that you see in Joe Douglas, and that's building the pipeline.
Right.
You pick somebody now who's going to pay dividends 2 years from now.
Right. You build the pipeline. It's like you have this kid kind of developing and grooming, and we are an instant coffee kind of fan base, and I think all fan bases. I think like it's hard to swallow that. It's hard to we all think if guys aren't successful right away, then that's it. They're not going to be successful, and I'm sure we can just list. I mean, dozens. Maybe I'll have a show dedicated to it. Where we just go through lists of players who have become average, good average, solid starters to better than average starters, and how important that is on any NFL championship team. Because you're right, you're not going to have 53 All Pros, but that came from third, fourth, fifth round picks. Guys that took 2 to 3 years, like their third year, fourth, and then by fourth year were solid starters in the NFL, but you didn't see a lot of them in their first and second years. They were just development guys. There's tons of guys like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Mark Andrews comes to mind.
Yeah,
well, I shouldn't say that because I think he actually played by circumstance. He played a little bit more his rookie year. But there's you're right that there's tons of guys that come in the league and they're afterthoughts or they're developing, they're learning, and then by year 3, by year 4, by year 5, the pieces in front of them left and they're there and they take off. I mean that's the circle of life in the NFL, man.
Yeah. So that's why a lot of this is undetermined. Like we're gonna see. We're going to see on Nasruddin. We're going to see on Jeremy Ruckert. We're going to see on Sherwood. There's so many, there's a bunch of guys, Tony Adams. There's a bunch of guys that we're going to see in the future. Like we're going to look back and say, oh, wow. I'm glad that, that they put these guys in the pipeline, and gave them a chance to develop because I think that a lot of great teams, that's what they've done. Like, the Rams for sure, as much as it seems like the Rams go out and buy their players, it's not really true. Like outside of those few big moves that they made, there's a real big core to their team of mid to late round draft picks that were developed that come in for that team and contribute, which put them in that position.
The guy who plays left tackle for them right now, I think he's hurt. He got hurt a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
His name is Joseph Noteboom.
Mm-hmm.
They had what's the guy's name who oh my god, they had a left tackle there for years, and Joseph Noteboom was drafted and he was the backup, and he just kind of served his time, and then he stepped up when he got the opportunity to start, You know, in year 3, year 4, he was ready, and he earned himself a nice big contract. You know, so it happens. You know, it's I get frustrated, and maybe frustrated isn't the right word, but it's like it wears on me the the fans, and not just Jet fans, but any team. You know, you can pick your poison, where they say, "Oh, this guy's not even playing; he's a bust," or "Oh, he can't sniff the field; he's a bust." No, he's a rookie in the NFL. There's a difference. You know, there definitely are some guys that are busts. I'm not denying that, but every guy, because he's drafted, doesn't mean he steps into a role and becomes, Patrick Mahomes or Luke Kuechly or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, some of these guys actually need to develop. The college game, as advanced as it is still is light years from the pro game. You know, there's a big learning curve, especially depending on positions. Remember, a lot of these guys in these colleges, they're the best athletes on the field any given Saturday. Any given Sunday, there's 14 guys that are better than them. So.
Yeah. I hear you. I feel you. And hopefully those guys will work out. Guys, Jets Talk 24/7 is about to go live, call-in show, super popular with Ryan. So I'm going to get off and get out of his way, get out of your way, so you guys can go watch that. And I've been on for like over 3 hours now. Dom, thanks for calling in.
Hey, man, my pleasure.
Me and Dom will be doing a lot of we have a lot of shows ahead. We're going to have a very busy off season. We're going to do a lot of prospecting, a lot of looking at the college class, prepping for the draft. So Dom, I'm so looking forward to that. And I can't wait to get started.
Yeah, man. We'll see each other soon, or we'll speak soon, and be well, man. Go Jets.
Yep. Everyone who joined late, sorry I'm going now, but it has been over a few hours. Take care, everybody. I'll see you at Jets Talk 24/7. Enjoy his show. Ryan's the best. So go check that out right now. That's where you should be now anyway. And thank you for being here, guys. And I'll be back whenever I can be back. You know how it is. But anyway, take care, everyone. Be good. And I'll leave you with this.
We are live. We got Harry W. We got Richie from Jets Media, Matt O'Leary, Iowa Jets fan, who in the house. We got Dom C in the house. We got Steve, live, CEO of the Jet Lounge. So I knew I'd get rich on my channel. See what's going on. Yeah, there we go.
Jets by 1 million today.
Yeah.